Alright, let me see if I got the stream rolling. We're gonna put in some work on this little drone here. We're gonna answer questions and we're gonna talk shit as usual. Let me just see if I got the stream rolling. I did. Give me a 1 in the chat, guys. If you can see me, if you can hear me and all that. So here's a little drone I found. I went to Google, I typed in drone, okay? And I found this thing right here. I don't know the name of the model. I got it from a website. The website is called, let's give them a little shout out. 0x is the name of the company, and this thing is called a Levion or a Levian or whatever the fuck. And we're gonna put in some work on this thing. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to get familiar with the topology of this model first, so that I can do this for a video later, so I can make some tutorials for this thing afterwards. Because when you're making tutorials, you want the shit to be smooth. You want to be able to do this. I don't want to have to try 3 different things while I'm recording a video. I want to make it nice and structured. So we're going to start by modeling, let's say the top part over here, okay? We're going to start by modeling this surface up here. And then, as you can see, everything is pretty connected here. So everything is, you can see this part on the top over here is connected down here. You got this little shit sticking out the side. Then we got something at the bottom. Then we got the legs. So we're not going to do everything today. We're going to do as much as I feel like doing. I'm not going to sit here for 13 hours, but I'm going to sit here for a couple hours, answer some questions, and make the fucking drone, okay? What happened to my screencast keys, guys? Look at this shit. Let me make my mouse a little bit smaller. So I did a little Q&A on Instagram, so I'm going to be opening up my Instagram and pulling up some questions that people ask me. And to start this model, let's try something like a plane. I don't know if I should keep my references on screen. Let's keep a little reference on screen for you guys to look at as well. Look at this. I can't even change. There we go. I'm going to put a little reference over here so you guys can see what I'm doing. And as I go, I'll be talking about this from time to time. Somebody asked me, what would I do about the illegal migration issue in Europe? Would I do the same thing as Poland? And they said that Poland's all in for killing these people. So illegal migration, for those of you guys who don't know anything about what's going on in Europe, basically we got a shitload of people. We got an endless amount of people coming in from third world countries. This has been happening massively since, I don't know which year. I don't know when all this shit started. Probably like 2015, I think, is when it all started to really take off. And basically, we get a lot of people from third world countries which come here and fuck everything up, for the most part, the ones who come illegally. A lot of people come here to work, okay? But if you go to a lot of Western European countries, you're going to feel pretty damn unsafe because of how many weird-ass third world people you got walking around. So the question is, what would you do about them? Well, the reason this is happening, guys, I don't know if you guys are too familiar with the European Union and how it operates, but the reason this is happening is not because people voted for this shit. That is definitely not the reason. Have you voted for a lot of illegal immigrants to come into your country? No, the fuck you haven't. Who voted from huge amounts of people from a different country to be imported here? And if you pay attention to what's happening, they're also getting money from the government. They get places to stay, they get fucking jobs, and they get all these privileges. And I think that just the fact that they're allowed to stay here illegally already tells you enough. And there's Thomas Collin in the house. Thomas Collin lives in France, so Thomas Collin can tell us all about illegal immigration in France. So the question is, Thomas Collin, what are we going to do about illegal immigration? And the reason this is happening, like I said, is because of the European Union, okay? Let's see what we're going to do next. Let's just keep this a flat surface for now. So I made this little surface over at the top, which is pretty simple, and then we're going to extrude the other parts out of that. The reason this is happening is because, well, if you know anything about European politics, you know that all the politicians in Europe, most of them, they're just sucking up to the European Union because they want money. They don't care about what you want. I don't know what planet you're living on. If you still think that democracy is a real thing, if you still believe that you can actually vote for who's going to be in charge, these people are actually fairly going to allow you to pick who's going to be running things. If you still believe that, you're living in a fairy tale. Okay. Let's see what we're going to do here. I'm going to export this part, extrude this part back here. So the politicians that we have in these little countries, they just want to suck up to the European Union so that they can get better positions, so that they can get money. Because EU comes in and says, hey, if you do this, if you fill in these quotas, we're going to send you fucking money. if you don't do it, we're not gonna send you money. You're gonna lose all these privileges and whatnot. So of course these politicians want to suck up to the European Union, so they do it. They don't give a shit about how you and I feel about it. They just want the European Union to like them so that they can get a better position, so that they can keep more power, so that they can stay a somebody, right? It doesn't matter if that means fucking up your entire country. So this is why this is happening. And if you haven't noticed, well, on paper, the European Union is supposed to be something about countries working together while retaining their autonomy, retaining their ability to decide for themselves what they're going to do, and they get incentivized to do certain things like this. So the idea is we're supposed to be able to trade more freely. We're supposed to be able to travel more freely. I don't know if you guys know this. I just went traveling, and I travel around Europe all the time. Okay, I probably spend more time abroad than I do in my home country. Right now in Budapest, I just came back from Estonia. I was in Sweden. I saw Stockholm a little bit. I was in Swedistan. Okay. I lived in Poland. I lived in Denmark. I've been to the Netherlands. I've been all over the place. And if you go to any of these places as a European passport, nobody asks you a fucking thing. You can just walk in. I go on a Ryanair flight. You sit on fucking Ryanair or Wizz Air or whatever. You go to one of the fancy ones if you want to. To me, it's all the same shit, really. Because I just go on the plane and I just read Mein Kampf or something. And you pull up to any country in Europe. It doesn't matter. Nobody's gonna ask you for any documentation whatsoever. No ID, nothing. You just land and you just walk into the country. That's it. Nobody asks you fucking anything at all. Now, of course, it's a little bit different if you travel from somewhere else. If you go from some other country, if you go from outside of the European Union, they're probably gonna ask you a couple more questions. It's not gonna be that easy for you. You don't have those privileges if you're not an EU passport. But it's like they merged everything into just one country, which was supposed to be run, supposed to have a decentralized government, but because of how corrupt all the individual leaders are in these countries, it pretty much becomes a centralized government because all the politicians in the countries, in the member countries, they're just dancing to the tune of the European Union for money. So it's really the European Union, the centralized government that controls everything, and they say you're going to have immigration, so your politicians are, of course, going to buy into that shit, just like that. Let's see. I want to make this part here a little bit more narrow, like this. But I also want this to be a straight line, like this. So the reason this is happening is really because of the European Union. It's really just because of the EU. And I guess the only solution is to take down the fucking EU, or to leave the EU and stop doing what the EU wants you to do as a politician, right? To stop I mean, this shit's never gonna happen because individual governments in individual countries are basically like the fucking mafia. Anytime there's any opposition whatsoever, anytime there's any opposition, there's they just get all of a sudden there's a little case against them. They get arrested for some bullshit, and it's just like run like in the mafia movies. You guys tell me my microphone is muffled. Let me try changing the mic. Let me see if this one should be shittier. This one should sound like I'm on a satellite, like we're on Apollo 11. Tell me if anything changed, okay? Maybe it's better. I don't fucking know. I don't know why the microphone's muffled. Maybe it's because it's been sitting at the bottom of my bag, flying through airports and all this shit. So let me know, guys, if anything got changed now that I changed the fucking microphone, if it sounds less muffled. Where are you from? I am from Croatia. I am from Croatia. That's better. Hell yeah, there we go. I'm from Croatia, and in Croatia we got a very corrupt ass government. We got a government that doesn't give a shit about its people. This is the same thing in any European country. You can see what's happening in Serbia. People are extremely unsatisfied. Let's do a little bevel modifier, because I want to sharpen these. You can see if we add some bevels here, it's going to be a little bit cuter up here on top. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use non-destructive bevels. Mean bevel weight. Mean bevel weight. We crank that shit up, and then we go ahead and add a bevel modifier. Limit method weight, 2 segments, profile, shape value 1. And now we got to see how wide this bevel is going to be. I just want it to be very thin, something like this. And it has to be before the subdivision surface modifier. So there we go. Why is my shit so dark? I'll change my math cap. I think it's because of my normals though. So what do we do about illegal immigration? Well, first of all, you gotta, if there was actual democracy exercised in any of these countries, there wouldn't be no illegal immigration. But there's no fucking democracy because people just take whatever's given to them. They just watch television. Whatever the news says, that's the truth. The politicians advertise themselves through mainstream media, and they're not. Most people have no idea what their leaders are even doing to them. So there's never really going to be a revolution at this rate. The only way this can happen is if people say, no, fuck this shit, we had enough. Let's kick all these people out, deport them, either let them in legally, or deport their ass. But people are too much. There's too many punks all over the place for anything like this to ever go down. So I don't know what's gonna happen, guys. So this part here, let's try this instead. We're gonna take this section. We're gonna make it a little bit wider. A little bit wider like this, and I want to have a sort of angle here which is going to be like this, which means we have to straighten all this shit out like this. Let's see if we can try to fill it up something like this. Let's also align this. We should probably use a mirror modifier here, and this should be a right angle, so whatever's going on here, we should take it over to the other side. So hold on, let's do this manual. I think probably we can just align this down here, and then we're gonna extend the width of the entire thing later on. Now if you want to use quads here, we can do something like this. I think Thomas Cullen would probably agree that this is a reasonable way to do it, but we need some more supporting geometry, so maybe we'll do it more like this. Give my loop tools space, give me something like this. I think Thomas Cullen probably wouldn't have too much of a problem with what we did right here, right now. Something like this should do, because now this shit is pretty tight, so it's okay. There we go. So the same thing is going on in the United States. In the United States, as far as I know, the Democratic Party, the Democrat Party, or the Democrat side of the country, because the country is pretty much divided between Republicans and Democrats. People feel like you got to choose a team and you represent one, the other one's your enemy, so people just hate each other over dumb shit like this. But the Democrats, they just allowed an enormous amount of illegal immigrants to enter the country, and then they let them vote. This is fucking ridiculous, because you can go to America. At least you could in this last election. This is what I saw. You pull up to California and they don't want to see no ID. They don't care who you are. Just drop in your vote. It's fine, because then all the Mexicans coming in and all the South Americans and Central Americans come in. They can all drop their votes, and of course they're going to vote for Biden, or not Biden, but Kamala Harris, because this is the party that let them enter the country, and Trump's not going to let them, so of course they want to stay, so they don't want to vote for Donald fucking Trump. I'm not trying to copy this by exact... I'm not trying to get the exact proportions right, because I don't have a blueprint or nothing. I'm just doing this as a little hard surface modeling exercise. So I'm going to do my own version of this. So it's going to be a little bit different than the real thing. And we're going to see what happens. I think probably we have to take this thing here. Maybe I have to lift it up a little bit more, just to get the curvature that we want to have there. Maybe I'll lift this up a little bit higher. Maybe it's going to look a little bit cuter. Maybe I can take this part and lift it up a little higher too. This part here. Maybe this part here as well. I hope we don't mess nothing up. Maybe we can take this whole thing and just adjust the shape of this. Now we're splitting hairs. But this is going to change the way the lighting behaves on this surface. So it's going to look either better or worse. I think that looks pretty damn cute. So let's extrude this part down. Let's do something like this. And this is where the rubber meets the road, because now we got to make a little bit of a bevel. A little bit of a bevel. So we're going to slide all this shit inwards with double G, and we're going to use our mean bevel thing here as well. So that's going to be sharp, and then it's supposed to go straight down. Then it's supposed to go down. Let me show you. We can model this part in the back, but this part underneath here is a separate shape from this part in the back. I guess it consists of multiple parts. You can take this shit apart. You can look at it on the inside and whatnot. So now we have to extrude this part back here. So let's say something like this. We have to bring that down. Maybe we follow our grid just to keep this reasonable. Let's try something like this. Of course, we want to keep quads only, but we want this to be angled backwards a little bit like this. I'm going to add a loop cut right here, but I also want to control the shape of this corner down here. I don't want it to be very long like this, so I might need some more geometry, supporting geometry. Maybe I even take this a step further to the back. So maybe we'll do something like this. And by the way, this is probably supposed to go a little bit further down. In fact, let's just scale everything down. Let's scale everything down to turn this into little quads like this. Should probably get rid of these. So now I can slide this backwards. And now let's add 3 loop cuts here. And that will allow us to make this look a little bit nicer. So let's slide this, because I want these 2 edges to be the same, because that way the corner is going to be more or less the same. They don't have to be exactly the same, but I want it to be approximately the same. As you can see, they are right now. And let's use our G-stretch tool, loop tools, G-stretch, loop tools, G-stretch, project. Now let's do spread. Now that doesn't work. Why doesn't the project tool work in these kind of situations? Look, why not? Why the fuck not? No matter. We can just join this with J. By the way, guys, I'm gonna make some content about AI, because if you guys have been following what's going on, I follow this page on Instagram. AI News. And every day there's a new AI model. Every day China comes up with something, Elon comes up with something, everybody's coming up with new language models, everybody's coming up with new image generators. And they came up with this graphic design AI generator. Everybody's like, graphic designers are fucked, because this thing can generate anything. Generate thumbnails for you, generate advertising leaflets, whatever you want, it'll generate it for you, just with a very simple prompt. So if you're a graphic designer, you can forget about it, because this thing will just replace you, right? Now the problem is that the reason people complain about this shit, of course, is because most people work at a company. So if you work at a company, you're an employee, the company is supplying its clients and customers with a service, and it uses you to produce that service. So now it doesn't need you anymore, it can just use the AI. So the reason people are freaking out, let's extrude something in the back here for this little wing. The reason people are freaking out is because they're gonna lose their jobs. Boo-hoo. Boo-hoo, you're gonna lose your job because a little AI computer can replace you, okay? A little fucking artificial intelligence model can replace your ass like you're nothing, like you're totally worthless. So now people are bitching and whining about this all over the place. And they're saying we gotta stagnate. We gotta slow down the evolution of humanity because artificial intelligence is taking away our jobs. If I see somebody saying AI is gonna take our jobs so it shouldn't exist, that means that you're somebody who doesn't think about how you can be a productive member of society. You just think about how can society serve you. Society owes you, you're entitled to a fucking job just because that's the way it is. That's not the way it is. The way it is you're supposed to find a way to be useful, and the more useful you are, the more money you're going to be able to earn, okay? So what you have to do is either learn to get your own customers and clients like the companies do. So they don't need you to, they already got their clients. The clients don't give a fuck as long as they receive the material. The clients don't care whether it's made by AI or a real human being. The company is just trying to figure out the most efficient way to produce whatever it is that they gotta produce. And watch this, guys. We need to have this little thing, this little bevel at the top. And you know me, guys, I don't fuck around. So we're gonna do a little inset. Let's try a little inset. We could have also taken this loop all the way around here somewhere, but let's see what happens. And then we're just gonna take these faces, just lift them up a little bit. Let's see what happens. Something like this, and naturally, of course, this is supposed to have a bevel on it. But in any case, you got to figure out how to get your own clients and customers, and the way you do this is by starting your own personal brand, which is something that we teach inside the Digitally Enhanced Club. Anybody who's inside the Digitally Enhanced Club is working on building their own personal brand as an artist, so that you can get your own clients. You don't need a fucking company to get your clients for you, okay? If you can do this yourself, now you got a client. He knows that you are the guy he comes to receive this service, and he doesn't give a fuck whether you're doing this with AI or if you're doing this by yourself manually. He doesn't give a fuck. He's just trying to advertise his business the best way he can. So what you can do now is, or you're a graphic designer or whatever it is that you are, hey, look, now you can lower your prices because now you don't have to do everything from scratch manually. Now you can just use AI and provide the service much more easily. If you don't want to pay $20 for ChatGPT, that's your problem, because I guarantee you that anybody who says that this is too expensive for them, they can't afford it, they're the same people who spend money on video games, same people who spend money on fucking movie tickets and merchandise for their favorite band, and new computer parts when they don't even need a computer, beer, maybe OnlyFans subscriptions and shit like that. You buy new clothes because you think it's gonna make you cool. New clothes are not gonna make you cool if you're not cool already. If you don't have a cool, if you're not a cool individual, you can buy all the Louis Vuitton and Gucci in the world. You're still gonna be a cornball. So it's not really gonna help you. But you guys, if you're a graphic designer, you should be excited if you're doing it the right way, which is the freelancer way, which means you have your own network and you have your own clients and your own connections. Then you should be excited because now you have a way to offer them your service in a better way. You can supply more people, you can make more connections. You'll be the guy who's on top of the latest tech, on top of the industry. You're up to date with the newest technology. You can have cheaper, you can have lower prices, so you don't knock everybody else out of the game. Thinking about whether I should close this, because then I gotta do the same shit over here, which means I gotta run another loop through here, and I don't know if I want to do that. I think I'll just keep it like this for now. I think it doesn't really matter anyway. So you guys should be excited about AI offering all these new possibilities. It's easier than ever to be a graphic designer, in other words. So this whole time, what you should have been doing was working on your client base, was working on your personal brand, was working on your presence online, on your network, on your portfolio. But nobody wants to do that because everybody thinks, oh no, I should just relax and go play some video games. That's what everybody's too busy doing. So just keep that in mind. And that way, you're not going to have to worry about AI. It's going to be an exciting thing for you. You should learn to use the fucking thing. If you haven't already started learning how to use AI to your benefit, well, you're at a time now, at a golden age, so to speak. That train is taking off now, and you can either participate or you don't participate. It's up to you. But this shit is here to stay. Why would anybody not want this shit to exist? Why would any business person not want this to exist? If I need a thumbnail for my fucking YouTube videos, on what planet am I gonna hire somebody to do it when I can just give a little prompt to ChatGPT and he can make a thumbnail for me? Now he didn't make my thumbnail for any of my videos yet, but you better believe that I'm already investigating this shit, and I'm already learning how this shit works. And from here on out, I'm gonna start using AI to do my thumbnails. Why the fuck would I pay somebody $100, $50, whatever the price is, to make me a thumbnail from scratch when I can just do it like this? So don't worry about it, just learn to use it to your advantage. So for me, it's a good thing. If it's not a good thing for you, that just shows me that you have no ability or interest in adapting to changes in the world. You just want everything to be handed to you. You just want you feel entitled to a job just because that's something that you feel like the society owes you. So you gotta drop that bullshit. You gotta figure out how to make your way in this world with the available tools. You gotta figure out what you have to do to make some money, to make a living for yourself, to support your family. But if you want to go play video games, you can do that. You can go play video games and forget about all this and just hope that it just disappears someday. Because what was the artist's name? The guy who's in charge of that Ghibli studio. What are we gonna do about this loop, Thomas? I think I probably shouldn't have this loop here. You can listen to the guy who's in charge of that studio, Ghibli, right? And he says this is an insult to humanity. This is completely unacceptable. You know, with tears in his eyes and all. I don't know who this guy is, so no disrespect to the guy. But if you wanna bite into this stuff, all you're gonna do is complain about how AI is soulless, AI is unacceptable. This is totally wrong. Well, guess what? There's the way it is, and that's the way it's gonna be, and it's not gonna fucking change. Maybe it changes. Maybe tomorrow, every world leader, Donald Trump, fucking Ping from China, fucking Putin come along, they all get together and they say, you know what, no more AI, completely banned. Everybody who touches AI gets shot in the head. then maybe AI goes away and we go back to the old ways. But guess what? AI helps people make so much fucking money that we all know that that's not gonna happen, or at least it's extremely unlikely to go down that way. Oh, we gotta close down these loops somehow. We got a problem going on over here. I don't know how much I really have to worry about this anyway. Let's see, let's take another. What I was supposed to do is fill this part with this one here, because they're aligned perfectly. They're aligned perfectly. So yeah, anyway, I'm gonna make some tutorials. I'm gonna start making some tutorials about how to use AI for product visualization, how to use AI for making little animations, for enhancing your work as an artist. Because if you're an artist, you got to make your way in this world. So that's what we're going to talk about in a couple of upcoming videos. I think it's going to be a fascinating subject. I think there's a lot of people who are interested in this. I think there's a lot of people who watch my channel who are not just all about whining and bitching. I think there's a lot of people here who actually want to see, look, you don't want this. This is a sign of bad topology that I talked about in my free topology guide. There's a free topology guide in the description. You can download it. One of the things I talk about in that guide is that you don't want to have loops acting like this. Okay, if you select a face loop and it's shooting all over the place like this, it's going everywhere and it's totally unpredictable. It goes over here, then turns around somewhere else. That means your topology is fucked somewhere. All right. So that's a sign that you're doing something wrong. So you want to rewire your shit somehow, some way. I'm gonna ignore it for now. And we're going to see if we can fix it up later once we fill in this bottom part. Let's do it like this. Let's just manually fill all this down here. Although we're probably going to have to take this part down a little bit further. But in any case, we're going to need some geometry here to do that. See, once we plug all this up and we fill everything in down here, now we can see what our topology looks like. So now we can see what we could get rid of. Okay, so for example, I can definitely run a loop like this. Let's get rid of this one. What did we just do here? I can run a loop over here to connect this down. Then I don't want to get rid of this segment, but I don't really want to have a triangle. I think a triangle is going to be perfectly fine here. I don't think it's going to be a problem, because I don't want to have this quad here. And I don't want to have to go rewire and everything from scratch. We could have just added some loop guts here to add. It doesn't fucking matter. I think this is going to be totally fine for our purposes here. So give me some more bevels in the front. Give me some more bevels like this. And now we got this part should be a little bit thinner. This part back here, that should be thinner. So we can just scale everything down a little bit. I want to scale it down towards the bottom, but we want to ensure that everything is that this part is gonna stay straight. So I'm gonna scale it down like this, and then let's try our project tool again. Maybe it's gonna have a little bit more mercy on me this time. Loop tools, G stretch. Yeah, see, look at that, it worked. G stretch. Now is it gonna work back here? That's the question. Worked there, and this one is a border, so let's see what happens. Look what it did to my model. Scale it to 0, there we go. And then we just need a couple more loop guts here like this, and now we made this a little bit thinner and it looks a lot cuter. This has to be beveled as well. However, I do not want this part here beveled. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna add a loop gut here, like this. Then we're gonna lift everything above this line up. Let's do mark seam. Lift everything here upwards, like this, and then clear my seams. Then we can take this part, mean bevel weight, and then we can do it just fine, just like that. Hey Aryan, are you familiar with this guy named Pozderinho? I don't know who that is. Okay. Somebody asked me, what software do you use? I use Blender 3D. Somebody asked me what I think about Andrew Tate. Guys, Andrew Tate, plus or minus in the chat. Let me see. Let me see what you guys think. Let's do a little bit of democracy. Somebody asked me, how do I find freelance or job? I'm a 3D Blender artist from India. It's super simple. It's really simple. The way you do it is you first have to become good, obviously. So you have to do a bunch of projects which are going to challenge you. So for example, you take this drone right here and you say, you know what, I'm going to make this fucking thing. I'm going to make a couple of other models like it. Okay, I'm going to make a really good model, top quality, no slacking, no fucking around, no cutting corners, nowhere. I want to make it look as good as I possibly can. It doesn't matter how much time it's going to take. I'm going to make a really good project, and I'm going to make another project after that, and again and again and again. And you do these until you get really good at modeling complex things in your chosen niche. Okay, you have to first choose a niche. So product visualization, ArcViz, game assets, whatever, character modeling, whatever it is that you're doing. Take some challenging projects in that niche and work on them. And make sure that you make really good projects, and you're going to advertise those through your social media, through your profiles on the internet. You want to make profiles all over the place. You want to show your work wherever you can show it. So you're going to go to all these different websites, Upwork, you're going to go to fucking Freelance or whatever, Fiverr, whatever websites you want, any other place, ArtStation, whatever. Just advertise yourself online and post your content, make some videos on Instagram to draw attention to yourself, make a YouTube channel if you have to. Attract as much attention to yourself as possible, okay? Through your artwork, and you got to have good artwork quality in order for people to pay attention to you. And then as you do this, and this is all we talk about inside the Digitally Enhanced Club, like I said before in our Blender School, you can check that out, there's a link in the description. You make some good projects, and this is the whole point of the club, is because you can talk to me, you can talk to other people, so we're going to make sure that you're on the right track so you can make some good projects. We exchange advice, I give you tips, I can look at your project for you, tell you this is fucked up, this is good, you need to change this, you need to improve this, I'll help you model something, we'll do live streams to talk about this type of shit. And then once you got some good projects, then you push them through your social media, right? So you make videos about them, you make posts about them, you make as much content as you can, and this is your game. You use the internet to promote yourself as an artist. By posting content, by drawing attention to yourself all the time, and by talking to as many people as you can. You gotta network, you gotta be social on the internet, you gotta build your connections, you gotta build your network, and before you know it, you're gonna have a whole lot of people either trying to reach out to you and connect with you because they want to hire you, or you're gonna be in a better position because you have clout on social media, which is reputation, which shows credibility, which shows that you're serious about this. So when you have 10,000 followers on Instagram, like a bunch of our members do inside our Blender School, now when you reach out to somebody, they're going to take you seriously because they look at your profile, 10,000 followers, a bunch of really good projects. This guy's obviously serious about what he's doing. And now people want to talk to you as opposed to just a nobody with a fucking cat profile picture, an anime profile picture who uses Instagram to post selfies, okay? So this is what you want to, what you have to do if you want to get yourself out there, if you want to succeed as a 3D artist, especially as a freelancer. And it's also going to help you find jobs and stuff like that, because through social media and through posting shit on the internet, you're going to meet a whole bunch of people. I just had somebody approach me in Stockholm. A gentleman came up to me and he said, Arjen. And I'm looking at the guy and I thought, fuck. I don't know, because I didn't recognize him. I thought some guy recognizes me, but I don't know him. I don't remember. It's always a little bit awkward when somebody comes up to you and you don't fucking remember who they are, but they remember you, okay? He says, Arjen, I watch you on YouTube and all this. I don't know if he's watching out, maybe if he's here with us, shout out to him. It was a gentleman from Italy. And I had a great conversation about him, and he was a professional architectural visualization artist. I think he told me that he worked in Stockholm, not in Stockholm, but in Sweden. I'm not sure, maybe it was in Budapest, I'm not sure, because he was flying to Budapest on the same plane as I was. And the reason I had the chance to meet this guy was because of posting shit on the internet. And this is how you can meet people all over the place, all over the world. I got Thomas Collin, a good friend of mine, here today. I told a story on my YouTube channel about how I got a job opportunity because of him. And you have a million different opportunities, people reaching out to you to do all sorts of shit, to write books, to do projects with them, to promote their products, or to work on new projects with them, or to get them a job at a studio. Or just the other day on the Digitally Enhanced Club, one of our members, he reached out to me because he was working with a client, but he had a part of the project where he had to do some web design, which he couldn't do because he's a 3D artist. So he spoke to me, he said, Arjen, can you do this? I told him I can't do it, but my brother's a good fucking web designer, a great programmer, as good as he can be. I put them in touch together, and now they tackle this pretty damn nice fucking project. Made some great money, made a great client connection with an excellent company that's doing really well and that's doing a lot of work in this field. So it's all about networking with people. It's all about networking with people. And this social media is the best way to do that in this age when people have no idea how to socialize in real life. You can use social media. You don't have to leave the house, but if you don't want to leave the house, at least do it right on social fucking media. But this is what nobody wants to do because everybody thinks that they're just entitled to a job. Look, guys, we gotta extrude this down. Everybody thinks that they're just entitled to a job just because they have a particular skill, because this is what they told you in university, didn't they? They told you if you have a skill, just because you have a skill, automatically you deserve to have a job. Well, that's not how it goes, because once you get a skill, that's only the beginning. Nobody cares that you got a skill. Nobody knows that you got a skill. You gotta make people know that you got a skill. You gotta shove it in their faces. You gotta get yourself out there. You gotta push yourself into the world. And you gotta make sure that the right people know that you got this skill, and then the right people care about you and they want to work with you because they trust you, because you're friends. And that's how you're gonna be able to employ your skills in the real world and find some work. Freelance or a studio or whatever it is that you want to work at. What the fuck happened here? Oh, it's because we have faces on the inside. But we do want to bevel this part too to make it sharp. And this part down here. Oh shit. See, when you got something like this, it's because of the shape of the bevel. So we're gonna have to change the bevel shape here, the geometry, to outer arc, like this. And now something got fucked up. If we apply the bevel modifier and the subdivision surface modifier, look what that did. Absolute abomination. You don't want to have something like this. Instead, what you do is, in this case, you want to run another bevel in another direction. Let's say something like this. Mean bevel weight here, like this. Maybe we want to do it in the other direction as well, since this is supposed to be a sharp corner. And now you can see that it looks a lot more beautiful. Now this is a lot of geometry, but it's behaving the way you would want it to behave on a corner like this. Although probably well, would be much better off using manual beveling here. So for example, instead of using mean bevel weight, we would use something like this. We would take this edge loop here and take these edges, we would bevel those. I would set my outer miter to arc, and then I would just connect this shit up here, like that. And now your geometry is flowing in a much better way. But I don't want to do manual beveling yet. I don't want this to be destructive, so I'm just going to use the bevel modifier. Competition is fierce, guys. There's no time to fuck around. Competition is fierce. Everybody and their mother can become a 3D artist because of how much information is available on the internet. It's so easy to learn these things these days. It's so easy to just train yourself to learn a new skill, to learn whatever the fuck you want. You can learn everything on the internet completely for free. And guess what? Everybody who's into video games, everybody who's into computers and stuff like that, everybody's trying to be a 3D artist. It's a cool thing to do. And as a result, you have a million people trying to be a 3D artist. So everybody's your competition. So what you have to do is stand out from the rest. Figure out a way to be original. Figure out a way to do something which is really beautiful. Because a lot of people are 3D artists. Not that many people are really good 3D artists. Not that many people are the kind of guy who can get a job done very quickly. I just did a project together with Ishak. Shout out to Ishak Sculpt on YouTube. Also a member of the Digitally Enhanced Club. And he's a good friend of mine. And we had some consultations together, so I'm helping him develop his social media strategy so he can grow his YouTube channel. This is a smart guy. Okay, this is a smart guy who understands that the main purpose, the main way that you're going to succeed as a 3D artist is if you get on the fucking internet, you create content, you put yourself out there, you get as many people to find out about you as you possibly can. So I worked together with Ishak, and we just did a project together when somebody reached out to me. They wanted to do a sculpting project, and I don't do sculpting myself. So I just passed it on to Ishak, because who I trust, because he's one of my students. I passed the project over to him. Hey, how quickly can you get this done? How much are you gonna charge? Boom, that's what it's gonna be. And he got the project done just like that. And if you have a network, you can do these kind of things. If I didn't have a network, if I didn't have Ishak in my network, as a good friend of mine who does sculpting, I wouldn't be able to take the project because I don't do sculpting. I can't do this. So unfortunately, I can't do this. So I can't take the money. But this way, I do something, he does something, we split the money, and there you go. Boom, that's how you get projects. You gotta know people. That's all it is with anything in life. You gotta know somebody. If you're a fucking musician, hold on, what are we gonna do about this? If you're a musician, the only way you're gonna succeed as a musician is if you know somebody who's gonna get you. Well, not the only way, but this is the best way. You gotta know somebody who's gonna put you out there, who's gonna want to promote you, who's gonna take you under their wing, so to speak, and have people find out about you. This is how Eminem started through Dr. Dre. This is how a million different artists came to be, because they ran into somebody who helped them establish their career. Now this is a little bit fucked up here. We gotta redirect this. I want to have an extra segment over here. I want to have like a loop here, which is going to go that way. So what I'm going to do now is I'll take this segment here. Let's get rid of the subdivision surface modifier so I can see what I'm doing here a little bit better. Take this segment here, tear it with V, and push it inwards a little bit to bring it up to around, say here somewhere. And of course I want to straighten all that out. Are you in some book you recommend? One of my favorite books was The Prince by Machiavelli. The Prince by Machiavelli. I'm not really into business books and stuff like that. If you want to learn about business, if you want to learn about economics, which you're going to have to do if you want to be a freelancer, you got to learn how businesses work, because as a freelancer, you hire to help somebody on their help somebody improve their business, right? So you want to learn business skills, and if you want to be able to make some money, if you want to be able to make a good living, especially in today's competitive economy where it's really hard to just get a normal fucking job. So if you want to be independent, if you want to be somebody who's trying to escape the matrix, escape the system, have your own freedom, live under your own means, you got to learn some business skills. But I don't really like business books. I learned about this type of shit just through the internet. It's way more efficient when you're driving, when you're doing something, when you're on the airplane. Download a fucking podcast. Don't just play video games, playing Tetris on your phone. Come on, have some respect for yourself, okay? When you're on the plane, don't be playing video games. Download a podcast and just listen to it, or just read something, or read some guides on the internet. Associate yourself with some people who are going to give you the basics of this stuff. You can there's infinite knowledge to be gained about this just on the internet. So regarding those subjects, I recommend that you just go to the internet and not read books, because books about this shit are a little bit too boring to me. I like philosophical books. I like George Orwell. 1984 was a heavy book to read. Brave New World was an excellent book in my opinion, which was written by a man who, quite frankly, was a visionary, who predicted the degradation of our society when people live in a flawless environment and they just resort to degeneracy. And the people are completely foolish. The people are completely incapable of appreciating or recognizing the deeper meaning in life. What are we gonna do now, Thomas? Let's try pushing this backwards a little bit. And instead, let's delete this. And we can run another quad. How about this? How about this? Sun Tzu, The Art of War. That was a great book. That's really simple. I read the Bible. The Bible's pretty good, but it's very heavy. I read Mein Kampf. Also a heavy ass book. My mom started reading it too, and she said some nice things. It's not what they told you in school, guys. I'm into politics. I also read well, I didn't finish reading it, but I read quite a bit of Inside the Third Reich by the guy who was Hitler's Minister of Armaments, and he just details the whole experience of meeting Hitler, how the whole system worked, how Hitler was running the show, how he was doing things. And it's a fascinating insight into history if you want to dig into something a little bit unconventional, into something that you're not supposed to be digging into, right? What do we say? We add another loop gut here, like this. We fill this, and we can just connect these and these, and now we got a clean loop flowing all the way from the front into the back. I think Thomas would agree this is not bad. Now we gotta flatten this out. We gotta make sure that this is nice and straight. should be a little bit nicer. Now it's looking pretty cool, right? It's gonna be pretty cool when we get to the little details, when we start adding this little fucking screen, these things. We're gonna do a little normal map here. I think we're probably gonna have to cut a hole here at some point to attach this outer part, to attach this little thing into the corner like this. Best way to earn money as a Blender beginner, 2 years experience. 2 years of experience and still a beginner, that shows you that you're doing something completely wrong. Because after 2 years, you should have been well in the game already. I'll tell you a story about the Step V Studio, who started off from the Digitally Enhanced Club. 2 members, they got together inside our Blender school. And they just said, you know what, we're going to do this shit and we're going to do it right. They got together, they built an excellent portfolio. They were focusing on product visualization for perfumes and cosmetic products and stuff like that. So their Instagram is around. Look them up, Step V Studio. You'll find their website where they do a bunch of other things as well. Beautiful portfolio. They learned this in the span of 6 months. They got their shit together. They made really good projects. And this is not rocket science. It doesn't take 2 years to learn this. It doesn't even take 1 year to learn this. In 6 months, in a couple months, if you apply yourself, if you learn stuff efficiently, if you go through if you make sure that you learn everything that you're supposed to learn very quickly, you make a game plan, you can learn this shit in a couple of months. And you get yourself to a point where you're now able to make some serious projects. And this is why I wrote my Blender ebook. This is why in the Digitally Enhanced Club we have a full course, even for complete beginners, okay, which runs you through every single Blender modeling tool that you're ever going to need, everything about Blender, animation, texturing, materials, modifiers, whatever the fuck, everything from scratch, so that you can learn all the tools, and now you can start doing some projects once you're familiar with the tools. Because that's why when you people see me do modeling, a lot of people say it looks like magic. It looks like magic. It looks impossible. It's just because I know a bunch of tools, because I practiced them, because I learned them. So if you know all these tools too, you can do magic. It doesn't take a long time to learn about every single one of these tools. It takes you 3 minutes per tool, 5 minutes per tool, and I don't know, there's 100 different tools. We got over 100, probably like 150 videos inside the Blender course about every single fucking tool. You spend a couple minutes learning each of those, and if you do this, if you apply yourself, it's not going to take you more than a couple of weeks. Why would it? Why would it take you 2 years? And then you start doing some projects, and you start building a portfolio around this, and that's the next part of the course. That's what it's all concentrated on. Building a portfolio, building your social media, building your projects, and putting yourself into a position where you're creating masterful shit. There's no reason why this should take you so long. The reason it takes people so long is because they see other people talking about to become a 3D artist, you have to spend 15 fucking years learning about it. You got to go to 3 different universities. It's really not that complicated. People say this because they're lazy, so other people catch on to it and think, yeah, okay, that takes a really long time to learn, so it's okay if I've been in the game for 2 years and still didn't land a single client, didn't ever get a paid job, didn't ever get anything like that. But it's really not okay. It's just a result of people's laziness, people making excuses for themselves because they don't know how to apply themselves correctly. What are we gonna do next? What are we gonna do next? Let's try to make the lower section down here. So we have to, yeah, this should be even thinner. We have to take this part up a little bit, like this. Let me do my loop tools. G-stretch here again. There we go. We can get rid of this loop, right? X dissolve edges. There we go. Now we got a nice curve down here. So now we can start to, let's save this real quick. Drone. Save this because Blender might crash on us. Oh yeah, I wanted to run a loop. I wanted to run a loop down here. So let me do a knife tool around here somewhere. Boom. And we're gonna align that with the 3D cursor here so we can join this. See what's happening. In this case, we can dissolve this and we can do the same thing over here and join this. Let's see what's happening at the bottom here. Join this. Yeah, now we fucked up. We fucked up because we closed a loop here. Yeah, we should have done the same thing over here. So we're gonna do another knife cut over here on the front. Like this. Join this, get rid of this. We can get rid of this, we didn't need that. And now if we run a loop down here, It's going to start here. It's going to end back here, which allows us to connect it perfectly. Any skill, guys, the idea that you gotta spend 4 years learning a skill before you can start to use it to offer professional services, and this is the conventional idea, the conventional thinking for any profession in the world, that's just nonsense. In today's world where there's so much information available to you, there's so much stuff out there, you can just learn everything by yourself. The idea that you gotta go to university for 4 years to become proficient enough at something that you can help somebody and ask for some money, that's just ridiculous, and that's just a way of thinking which is quite frankly for old people and for people who are extremely inefficient in the way they live life. So they don't want to accept that if you apply yourself, you can do this in just a couple of weeks. They think it's normal that it takes 4 years, so that they can be lazy and relax in the evenings and watch television and watch fucking football and watch shows and smoke weed and just do a bunch of dumb shit. But you really don't need that much time to get good at something. You just got to see at the level that other people are at, the level that other professionals are at. For example, I always tell people, if you want to know if you're good at 3D modeling, you want to know what level you're supposed to be at, walk around. Go to town, look at the bus station while you're waiting for the bus. Don't just be scrolling fucking TikTok. Look around you a little bit. Maybe there's a chick you can talk to. There's going to be an advertisement there of something. Old Spice, vodka advertisement. I don't know, donuts, whatever, Coca-Cola, fucking whatever, right? Perfumes and shit. They're advertising it all over the place. Just look at it. Okay, this is the level that you got to be at to do professional work. Because this is a guy, a 3D artist, who got hired to design this advertisement. So if I want to get hired to design advertisements, I got to be able to do this kind of shit. So just go home, take a picture, go home, and recreate it from scratch. If you're not sure how to do it right, join the Digitally Enhanced Club. We're going to check it out for you. You can make a post there right now. You can make a post at Aryan. Hey Aryan, you can send me a message. Hey Aryan, I'm trying to recreate this. Can you help me? What am I doing wrong? I'm going to tell you exactly what you're doing wrong. I'm going to help you create it. And then, once you're at this level, now you can start networking. This is the next phase. Now you just got to find somebody who's going to be able to hire you. It's really not rocket science. It's really simple when you think about it. It might take you a lot of work. A lot of people are not able to produce a lot, to exert lots of effort, to pump out a lot of energy into something because they're too lazy, because they're used to 1 hour of work or 30 minutes of work, 30 minutes of scrolling, and when you're working, you're always distracted by people making memes about this shit on Instagram. When I see somebody, oh, this is so me at work, I'm always distracting my coworkers. I'm always talking nonsense when I'm on the clock. Out of the 8 hours, I'm really working 3 hours. For 5 hours, I'm just fucking around waiting for the shift to finish because I'm lazy. I want to go home and watch Netflix. Ha 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 ha. That's so true. That's so me. Ha 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 ha. Share this on your story. Ha ha ha. Yeah, we're all so fucking lazy. Okay, you're gonna be fucking lazy. You're never gonna make it because you don't know how to put in any work. If you want to live in that world, you're never gonna make it in anything in life. And that's why people take 4 years, because if their thinking capacity is limited by 1 hour per day, good luck. Because there's people out here who don't sleep. There's people out here who don't who don't socialize with nobody, who lock themselves in a room and just work. That's the guy to get the job. If you're not willing to be that guy, so while you're playing video games, he's making 3D models. If you're not willing to be that guy, then forget about it, because he's gonna smoke you. Because any business owner would rather work with him. He's grinding all the time and he's applying himself. Any business owner would rather see that than your sorry ass playing video games after an hour of work. Video games should be a little treat. Video games should be something that you do once you've really worked your ass off, and only from time to time. And just make sure that this is all leveled. I think it is. Video games, like dating women, hanging out with your girlfriend, that should be something that you do. That should be something that you do once you've worked your ass off. You've put in a lot of work. You've stacked up a lot of wins. You've been productive the whole time. Now you can call up your lady and take her out on a date. So you'll have something to talk about because you've been working the whole time. You made a bunch of progress. She's gonna be impressed by it. She's gonna like you. She's gonna see you're getting somewhere in life. If you just did your shitty little part-time job shift, or you went to uni or something and now you spend the whole afternoon just rotting on the couch, you're fucked. You're fucked. Your girl's gonna dump you. You're not gonna enjoy playing the video games. You're not gonna enjoy doing anything fun because you know that you haven't applied yourself. You know that you didn't really deserve that break anyway. if you're like me and you like drinking, trust me, the booze tastes better. The booze tastes better when you got something to celebrate, and you're only gonna have something to celebrate if you've been working hard. You've been working hard for a really long time, and you've actually accomplished something. That's when you got something to celebrate. That's when everything becomes more fun. That's when hanging out with people becomes more fun. That's when talking to people and socializing and living life in general is a better experience. We can curve this a little bit more. Aryan, bro, I can't find nobody. How do I build a following? You join our fucking Blender school, and we're gonna teach you everything that you gotta know. But I'll tell you the rough outline for it right now. You become really good, so you got something to show off. Okay, for example, your 3D modeling skills, your 2D design skills, whatever it is. Become really good so that when people look at it, they're genuinely impressed by it. Don't show it to your mom. Anything you show to your mom, she's gonna say, "Oh, good job. It's really nice." You gotta make something so that when people like me look at it, when people like Thomas Collin look at it, when other professionals look at it, they say, "Wow, that's fucking incredible." Okay, you gotta get to that level, and then you start making content around that. You start making reels. You start posting on Instagram regularly, all the time. You post your shit onto the internet. You make little videos, little animations, little tutorials, whatever you gotta do. Just put content out there to show how you do things, to show how you operate, to show what you do, so people can see it. And if you're good enough, this is what's gonna grow your following. And it's a grind. It's a numbers game. But if you do this long enough, if you do it right, if you know a simple formula for producing content, which again we teach inside my Blender school, if you know how to produce content, if you do it right, and if you just stay consistent, you follow the simple algorithm rules for growing your social media and for getting followers and for getting views, before you know it, you're just gonna take off. This is what happened to a bunch of our members. Anybody who stays in the game, they just see, after they're grinding for a little bit, they're working on themselves, they're working on their projects, they're working on establishing a little base. This is usually the first phase when you're creating something on the social media. You're building a little profile as an artist. Nothing is happening. You're making some posts. Nothing is happening. No views, 10 followers, and that's it. Nothing, no growth or nothing like that. And then you get to video 25, and at some point, all of a sudden, it just gets, oh wow, this one got 6,000 views and it got 10 new followers. Oh, okay. And then you keep posting, and you're like, oh, this is not going anywhere. Look at Aryan. Aryan's getting so many followers. I'm not like him. I can't do this. I'm gonna go back to playing video games. But what happens inside the Digitally Enhanced Club is I tell people, don't fucking give up. When somebody comes to me, Aryan, this is not working. What am I doing wrong? And I look at his work. You're doing everything right. I see what you're doing. You're doing everything. Everything is fine. Just keep fucking doing it. Don't give up. I'm telling you right now. Just keep doing it. Keep doing it. All right, he keeps doing it. Still nothing. He comes back. Aryan, I want to give up. Don't fucking give up. The only way you're gonna fail is if you give up. Trust me. I've seen this a million times. Keeps pumping, and then one day, all of a sudden, 2,000 followers. Check back on him next week, 6,000 followers. Check back on him 2 weeks later, 11,000 followers. That's the name of the game. That's how it goes. What are we going to do next? Yeah, I was going to make this part down here. So let's try it. Extrude this out to here. But we're going to separate it. We're going to use my little 3D cursor here. Check this out. Place the cursor over here. 3 loop guts here. I don't want no creases or bevels here. Then we're gonna take it over here, and at this point something happens, guys. Something happens. And I'll tell you exactly what happens. No, this doesn't curve this way. This is not what happens, what I just did. What happens is, and why did we curve this? We weren't supposed to put this at an angle. This was supposed to be like this. Because there's a little cut here, and that actually goes a little bit further down, but that's part of the separate object. What happens now is there's a hole down here. So this is supposed to go somewhere inside like this, right? And this is probably still part of the same object. So I think what we should do is first fill in a little bit more space over here. Something like this. So I think we have to delete all of these faces like this, and then we can join these back here. Bridge edge loops. No. First extrude them up to here. And now we can bridge edge loops. Bridge edge loops. And then of course we have to add a couple of loop guts here. A loop gut here. No, we don't actually have to do that either. What we have to do instead is fill these or bridge these like this with our loop tools bridge, which means we have to make sure that this is the same height. And it would have probably been easier if we just did something like extruding these down, connecting this here, and then we can use a grid fill. Maybe we can use a grid fill, but grid fill doesn't really like these kind of situations. So we just gotta fill it in manually. If that's what we gotta do, then that's what we're gonna do. What about a bevel? Down here and up here. See what's happening with this part. Maybe we need a bevel here. We want this part to work a little bit better. How do we make this part flow nicely without fucking everything up? How do we make this part just... Maybe we don't need a bevel here. Which part do we take out? You see what I'm saying? I want this to be... I want this to just kind of project outwards. Maybe we'll need a bevel here, but I think that's actually how it should be. But this part definitely should not be that way, so this has to be nice and curved. Maybe what we need to do is separate these. Yeah, this is a topology technique that I gotta lay down properly. How do you get something to just slowly come out like a little ramp, right? Because I just did it, hold on, I did it on my practice model when I was preparing for the stream. Let me show you guys. Let me pull up something here. I pulled it off of my little warm-up model. Drone. Let's see. No, I didn't. Let me show you. What I did instead was... saved by the fucking bell. What I did instead was basically just this. So it's supposed to be sharp, right? That's a sharp corner right here. And then I probably want to take this part and push it backwards a little bit. Like this. And there we go. Now it looks nice and cute. Now it looks nice and pretty. Aryan, are you Iranian? Hell no. Hell no, I'm a white Christian. Well, Iranians are white, but they're not Christian. Vision gaming, trying to be smart. Aryan, do you make money only from selling your course? No. What field do you recommend now that there is an AI taking jobs? Now that there's AI that's taking jobs, what field do you think would not be touched by AI, or at least would not last in the future, or at least would last in the future, and appreciates human skills. Why does it have to appreciate human skills? Why does it have to not be touched by AI? Why can't you recognize that AI is a powerful tool and everything's going to be done by AI, so you got to learn to use it to your advantage? Right now, hard surface modeling is not really something that AI can do yet. I don't know, maybe it'll be able to do it in the future. Probably it will, because these computers are definitely smarter than us. Right now, I can't imagine a fucking AI doing hard surface modeling, doing hardcore topology. So there's still going to be a lot of time before you can just tell a computer, hey, visualize this drone for me and make some animations. Although probably it could be done, but here's an idea, guys. Here's an idea. If you got to visualize an object for business or something, you get a sample model, okay? They send you a little fucking thing so you can test it out, so you can look at it as a reference. You take some pictures of this, you do the 3D, what do they call it, photogrammetry or something. And then the computer has a 3D model, and surely there's going to be a time, maybe somebody can start a new business out of this, where AI can process 3D models and use them to create virtual scenes. So you tell them, hey, take this 3D model of a drone that I showed you right here, and make it fly around some mountains, make it do some crazy shit, make it do something like that. But it's going to be a while before AI can take this whole thing apart and show you the inside components like they do in these animations, before it can show you the inside functions and show you everything in the level of detail that product visualization needs it in, right? Aryan Pranav wants to suck your dick. What is he, a faggot? Why my model doesn't look clean like the others, even though I followed every step. You can join the Digitally Enhanced Club and I can take a look at it for you, because I don't know what model you're talking about. AI can make good organic shapes, that's correct. So if you're into sculpting, you better try and figure out how to use AI to help you with that. Because I think it's probably not too difficult for AI, and I think there's a lot of people messing around with this. It's not too difficult for AI to create a model with busted topology, with triangles only. With, you know how if you do some photogrammetry, is that how you say it? Photogrammetry, right? When you take a bunch of pictures of it, it's fucked up topology. It's all busted up. It's all triangles and stuff like that. A computer can probably figure out, an AI can probably figure out the surface of the object and just throw in a bunch of polygons to create a surface there. It doesn't have to be clean topology, and it can use that for creating characters and whatever else it's got to create. So that's something that you got to look into if character designing or organic modeling is your thing. Hard surface modeling, you're still good for now. But if you're doing product visualization, if you're doing graphic design, not for long, man. If you're doing product visualization, well, you're still gonna have to probably make the model. But what you should be doing now, okay, is let's say you make a perfume bottle. Okay, you make a perfume bottle. You've seen what the new ChatGPT thing can do, 4.0, right? You take a scene somewhere from the internet, or you just tell them, hey, look, take this perfume bottle and put it into a scene somewhere, and make it spin or something. You can use the Kling AI or something. Google this. Do research on AI. Check out the little different AI generators, video generators, animators that turn the generated picture into an animation. Check those things out and learn how to use this shit. Are you going to live in the US? Hell no. Hell no. Yeah, I live in Europe. I live all over Europe, as a matter of fact. Make a business, buy a professional 3D scanner, scan products on command. They send the product, you scan and send the model to the 3D modeler, modelele, whatever the fuck that means. Boom. Modeling costs less because now it's a lot faster. That's the kind of thinking you want to have. That's the kind of thing you gotta have if you wanna survive. If you can't think like this, if you just want to do things the old school way, guess what? Being an artist, being a cartoon artist, like Disney, drawing everything by hand, I'm sure that those people were upset when computers came around. Now you can do it all by hand on the computer, and it's a lot quicker. You don't have to do everything the natural way by hand, drawing cartoons manually. You don't have to do this shit. You can have programs animate this for you. I'm sure they were bitching and whining, but guess what? They got replaced. So If you want to do things the old way, just out of love for it, you can do that. But then you don't care about AI doing this a lot faster than you, because you just do it because you enjoy it, and then you're always going to be poor, and you're not going to be able to support your family, and your wife is going to leave you because there's not going to be any food on the table. The bills aren't going to be paid. I think maybe we can extend another loop over here. Check this out. If we make another knife cut over here, because I want to make this part a little bit tighter. So maybe I can extend a little loop. I don't know if I can do it at the bottom. Yeah, I can probably just copy the same geometry down to the underside, because here's what I want to do. I want to do this. I want to join this here with J, in which case I won't be needing this. Maybe I can do another loop here if I want to, or I can do a loop here to join this into a quad. And then I want to take this geometry and bring it down here so that I can do the same shit on the underside and connect this part that I just created down here. I could probably just join it to the side somewhere, but I don't want to do that because Thomas Cullen is watching. Let's see. How about this? Slide that in there. Then get rid of this. Let's connect this down here with our beautiful active element tool. Shift S, selection to cursor, keep offset. Keep offset. Well, then we would have been better off doing this shit manually. So let's take this somewhere around here, and we're going to scale it down towards the 3D cursor. So we want to connect it over here. And now we can figure out how to do it the same way we did it up there. So first of all, we got an extra loop here that we probably don't need. So we're going to slide this here, slide that there. And now we can do a quad, right? We have another quad connecting these two. So we're going to do that first. So let's lower this down, lower this down. Let's push this out here because I want to align this with this edge so I can fill it with a quad. Here we go. Timeless Visual sent a super chat. I wonder why Blender artists aren't using Unreal. I recently started it and it's really powerful in sync with Blender. Your opinion? Absolutely. If you do ArcViz, for example, Unreal is going to allow you to take your model, you put a character in there, and you can walk around the fucking place. So if you're somebody who's into ArcViz, into marketing, architectural visualization for marketing, right? So where you want to show the customer a good fucking experience so they can see the apartment. Maybe you're trying to sell an apartment in Dubai to somebody who's in Brazil, okay? You want to be able to put them in there so they can see the model. So if you're into ArcViz, you definitely got to do something like this. For architectural, for product visualization also, I've seen people build beautiful scenes. I think Step V Studio that I talked about earlier, I think they used a lot of Unreal as well. So pretty much anybody who's trying to do this seriously, they should consider using Unreal because it's fucking beautiful. Thanks for the super chat. Timeless. Should we do some Unreal tutorials? I've talked about Unreal before. I said I want to do some tutorials for Unreal, but I never got around to do it. But I think it would be a good subject to talk about in the videos because it is a really important skill. It is a really important fucking skill. I'm gonna to read the chat in a second, guys, and answer some more questions. Let me just plug this up real quick. Hope you guys got some good fucking questions. Hey, Brazil here. Indeed, we have apartments for sale. I see Unreal being widely used for car commercials too. Yeah, there you go. There you go. You know what Unreal could definitely work for? Let me show you something for car visualization. Let me do Porsche. Let's pull up Porsche on Google. Car configurator. Let's take what's pretty. I don't like the Taycan. Let's do the. This is for women. Let's do the 911. Build your Porsche. And all you got to do is go interior somewhere. Where do we go interior, guys? What the fuck? Where do you switch to interior? Hold on. Let's do full screen. If you go interior, where the fuck is interior? There we go. If you go interior, see, they just got a still picture where you can change some colors. So they don't let you do the whole 3D perspective thing. But here's an idea. You can hit on Porsche if you got a portfolio, if you built your profile, if you're somebody on the internet, maybe you built your portfolio around being the best car modeling artist in the world, and you do some beautiful car interior models, car exterior models and stuff like that. You got 100,000 followers now, okay? Because you've been making content, you've been focusing on creating your brand. And now you reach out to Porsche and you tell them, hey guys, I have this new technique that I've been working on. I'm a 3D artist. Product visualization, car visualization. And what I do is I build your interior, I put it into Unreal Engine so that you can interact with it in a much cooler way in 3D. So for example, you can see the stuff open up and close. You can move your head around. There's some perspective distortion. You can see what's behind the steering wheel. It's not just a still image. You can look around. You can go to the front seat, the back seat. You can check out the trunk. You can get a full overview of the vehicle like you're actually there in person, but you're not. So this is where you would think that a company like Porsche already has something like this established, but this just goes to show you guys, if you pay attention, you're gonna find a whole lot of gaps in the market, a whole lot of things which could be improved. It's just nobody got around to improve it. I guess they just don't have anybody there, or they thought about doing it, but there was too much work finding somebody. They couldn't find nobody, and there was too much of a headache. So nobody took the initiative to do this. But you can be the guy if you know somebody who works in Porsche. If you know somebody who works in car advertising, for example, which you will know if you do this stuff professionally on social media. You get to meet a whole lot of people by creating this kind of stuff. Before you know it, you know somebody who's into Porsche. If you go to a bunch of events like Step V Studio did, they would go to events where business owners would go, advertising meetups and stuff like that. You meet a whole bunch of people there, and you're a 3D artist now. You can meet a whole bunch of people who are gonna help you find your way in this industry. We don't want to bevel these. We don't want to bevel these. What happened? Oh, because they're not connected. There we go. There we go. Where's my pictures now? So we made a little hole down here on this part, and now it comes time. The time has come to make this next section down here, which is a little bit more difficult, which is a little bit more complicated, but we're once again going to use the same geometry from over here. We're going to extrude the geometry from the sides here, and that's going to allow us to create this next piece. Now this has to be a separate object. So there's a little step down here, and then we can take it a little further. Perhaps we can place our 3D cursor here, and then we can take this, Shift D, scale it down to 0, You can separate that and then join it with this piece. Let me see. What is some networking advice that you can give us? Somebody asked me on Instagram Q&A. Networking advice. I made a post about this on LinkedIn, and I came up with this genius strategy, which for some reason does not occur to anybody. And this is why most people don't really have any friends. And the technique is called pulling the stick out of your ass. Pulling the stick out of your ass. Here comes Timeless with another super chat. Thanks for the super chat, Mr. Timeless. EV Next seems like a counter to Unreal's Lumen. I don't know what EV Next is. Let's Google it. EV Next. In Blender 4.1, EV has been replaced with EV Next. EV Next. What is it? Well, clearly it's a new render engine. Clearly it's a next level version of Eevee. And now Timeless says that it's a counter to Unreal's Lumen. All you need to know about Eevee Next. How long is the video? It doesn't say. Eevee Next. EV1, EV2. This is bullshit. Just increase the saturation a little bit on the thumbnail to make it look cute. Maybe it's true. Is Eevee Next amazing? I don't know. How do you access Eevee Next? What do you gotta download something? What do you do? It's my first time hearing about this. It's not over here. I'm on 4.3 and it's not. Maybe we got activated. Edit. Preferences. Eevee projectors. Add-ons. It's not there. Eevee Next has not been released yet, but it should be soon. It's supposed to be high quality real-time rendering. Well, there you go. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I'll check it out then. Because if we can do it inside Blender, then that means that we don't have to learn the whole interface of Unreal Engine from scratch. You don't have to get familiar with the whole different commands, because every program is completely different. It takes a lot of time to adjust to all the commands and the way things work in there. So if they do this inside of Eevee, that part's going to be easier, because now you can visualize shit the way that you can visualize it in Unreal Engine, except you can do it all inside of Eevee, inside of Blender. So that's going to be a pretty big advantage if that plays out the way you describe it. So let's see. This thing is going to connect over here, and I'm going to make it follow the shape of this curve. So we're going to have to take oh, we already got this geometry back here, right? I think maybe we pushed something back, so let's just do it again. We're going to extrude this back, separate it, join it here, join this down here, and then that has to follow this curve at the bottom. So once again, let's try something like this whole section over here. Extrude it down, separate. We're going to join it here, and then we just have to manually fill something in. So now hold on a second, because we were supposed to have a little step here first. Fucking hell. We were supposed to have this little thing go down a little bit. There has to be a little bit of a gap here. So let's lower this And then we can, I think probably we could just take this inset, delete the top part, and then slide this up or lift it up. I want to have my bevel here. And now we can just delete this section. And there we go. No. Because this is supposed to go, okay, yeah. So we can just add another loop cut here. And now we can just adjust this to whatever height we want. Of course, once you add some thickness here, this is going to look different because this is going to turn into a sharp corner once we add some thickness. It's not going to be round like this. But I think it's supposed to be something like this. This is a little place where you fit the leg, so the leg can come out, not the leg, but the arm with the fucking propeller thing. Guys, somebody tell me if somebody's into aeronautics. Why does a helicopter have one rotor, but a drone has 4? Somebody give me an answer while I go bathroom. Guys, I just remembered I started talking to you about something. Somebody asked me about networking, and I was gonna start talking to you about how you need to pull the stick out of your ass if you want to be good at networking. And let me explain that to you real quick. Because the whole idea of networking, is you want to be friends with the right people. Guys, check out what I have here. The whole point of networking is you want to be friends with the right people. So, for example, if you're trying to become a professional 3D artist in the automotive industry, right? What you have to do is you have to know somebody, you have to know people in the industry, and these are the people who are going to hire you, right? That's the way it works. You need to have a relationship with somebody who needs some work done. You're going to be the guy who's going to do the work, right? And I think this is like a level 6 or something. It gets me fucked up every time. What happens is you need to become friends with the right people. You don't have to become business associates with these people. You're not trying to network with these people. If you go to business uni, if you go to business school or economic school like I went to, for example, the idea of networking is you have to go to some fucking event, you gotta put on a suit, you go to a LinkedIn meetup or a Facebook meetup where people just go and stand around in circles like this and they're just chatting. Oh, so where are you from? What do you do? What do you study? So what are your ambitions for it feels like a fucking job interview. Nobody makes friends like this. The way you make friends is you live your life, and as you do things that you do in your day-to-day life, okay, the same way that you meet a girlfriend, the same way that you make friends, the same way you meet anything, you go about your daily life, you do your shit, and over time, as you go, you're going to bump into people. Now, of course, this requires a certain level of social skills, because you don't want to force this shit, just forcing, hey, we're going to network so we can figure out how I can use you to make money. You don't want to make it look like that. This is the way they make it feel when they do all these networking events. The students go there just because they want to get a fucking job, and it's just awkward. It feels like if a business owner comes there, which they don't, it's just going to be like a fucking job interview. It's a totally uncomfortable environment. What happens is via natural means, You make friends, you meet new people just by being yourself, just by doing your thing. For example, if you're into hiking, go to a hiking group. If you're into running, join a running group. If you're into shooting, join a shooting club. If you're into fucking, I don't know, roller skates, rollerblades, join a rollerblades club, okay? If you're into online business, join one of those online business clubs. You got those kind of networks all over the internet. Or find one which is located in your city, or if there isn't, make one, make your own group, and meet friends there. Hang out with people there, okay? Hang out with people in natural ways. If you go to the gym, talk to people. Join a fucking fight club, all right? And just hang out with people there. And if you talk to everybody, which I know a lot of people don't like to do, because a lot of people in the 3D world, all their time is spent on the computer, no social skills whatsoever. They don't really have any friends. A lot of times, for a lot of people, they just play video games their whole life, and now they're trying to switch into this 3D shit. You're not going to get anywhere if you don't have any friends. So you have to try and make friends, and before you know it, this guy owns some kind of business. Before you know it, you meet somebody who's in the automobile industry. You meet somebody who's part of a big studio that does automobile design. They need some, maybe they do the advertising part, maybe they need product visualization, maybe they need car visualization. He works for a fucking Porsche or something. They need some help. He's your buddy now, so he can hook you up. He can tell you, oh shit, we have a free spot, we need some help. You do this, come along. So you gotta be friends with people. You gotta pull the stick out of your ass and not act like you're going in for a fucking job interview every time you talk to somebody. You gotta get some social skills so you can socialize with people in a more natural way. And that's what networking is all about. So forget about the word networking. Replace it with just socializing with the right kind of people. You shouldn't just be hanging out with people who you go watch football with together, or you watch fucking shows with together, play video games together with. Those people are not going anywhere with their lives. Think about your friends right now. How many friends you got that are up to anything, that are moving in the right direction in life? Most people aren't. Most people don't really think about these kind of things. But if you surround yourself with the right people, you'll be shocked how quickly you'll meet all kinds of people from all sorts of backgrounds before you know it. You're gonna find somebody who's gonna want to hire you for something. That's what networking is all about. And on social media, it should be the same thing. On social media, you shouldn't just try to be the kind of guy. This is why I do a bunch of crazy. This is why this will got me shadow banned on Instagram. Because the Q&A is just to talk to people. People ask me about the craziest shit. This is how I answer. I answer in a way that gets me shadow banned. But as a result, I get people who I can have genuine conversations with. I get people who I can meet in real life. I meet people who become my friends. All right. And when you have genuine friends, that's when you're gonna have somebody who likes you. That's when you're gonna have somebody who wants to put in a good word for you. Who's gonna give you an opportunity if one appears. But it takes a lot of grinding to do this. You gotta get out of the house sometimes. You gotta get on social media. You can't just be working Blender all the time and just doing 3D modeling and watching tutorials and playing video games in your free time. Your free time should be about socializing with people, networking with people, talking to people. Now we have to make this go down and connect into this part here. So here's what I'm gonna do. Are these two vertices aligned? No, they are not. They probably should be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to align these vertices here. I'll place the 3D cursor over here, scale this down. Scale this down. And now they're perfectly aligned, which means we gotta push this inwards a little bit further. And by the way, we gotta do the same thing up here. Like this, which means also we have to push this backwards a little bit further, and then we got to take everything up here just so we can keep the same shape that we had before. And we're gonna push that we're gonna push that back a little bit further. There's probably a better way to wire up this geometry because we got a little bit of a stretching face here. Maybe we can do something like add a loop cut here. Fuck it, we're just gonna leave it like this. I think it works just fine. But now once we have this, now we can join these two with F, because this one here, this here is supposed to go, we're supposed to make a little cut here, right? So maybe we can cut this either with J. Probably would be better if we use a knife cut. If you use a knife cut on this part, like this, look, you go front view, and we're gonna go back view, so Control 3, and we start a knife cut over here. See the cut through, place that there, and now we want to delete these faces like this, and now we just want to fill this in. We could have probably just, no, we got to do it manually. So let's try to first take these edges here, extrude them down like this. And now we can try to manually construct this. Maybe we can do 3 loop cuts. That might work. So bridge this. We can do a triangle here. Fuck it. Maybe Thomas Colin isn't watching anymore, so maybe now we can get away with that. We need some more geometry so we can connect this. Maybe we can now is a good time to rearrange this part so we can make a knife cut all the way across here. All the way across here, and don't worry, we're gonna align all this properly. Let's do a knife cut there. And we just scale everything down. Everything from here. All this, we scale this down to 0 on the y-axis. This part hasn't been cut, has it? We don't have a vertex down there. So we have to, fuck, what happened? What happened? This is not straight. I think it wasn't straight to begin with. Let's try using our loop tools to correct this. Loop tools, G-stretch. And let's do the same thing up here. Loop tools. Fuck, let's do a... We got a vertex here, so we need to fucking hell, we have to do everything manually. We need to join this vertex here with J. God damn it. And now, if this one's in the same place, if these two here are in the same place and these two here are in the same place, then we should be able to just use our loop tools, G-stretch. But it doesn't want to listen to us. No, Lionheart, it's not real life scale. It's not real life scale, I'm just trying to make it look cute. And then I'll have a drone in my portfolio, and the way it goes is you have something in your portfolio, for example a drone, and then somebody who watches my content who needs a drone visualized, or somebody who's a business owner and they just brought some new drones into their shop and they want them visualized, well, they're going to go on social media and they're going to type in drone, they're going to go to Instagram, type in drone 3D model, drone product visualization, and possibly, potentially, my post is going to come up and they're going to follow me. They're going to see how I make this. They're going to see some content around this. Maybe I make some reels about modeling a certain part of this drone, just some topology tips which show this drone. And they see, look, this guy does drone 3D modeling. Let me reach out to him. Let me reach out to him. And then this is how you get hired to do some projects. And you get people reach out to you all the time if you're active on social media, and if you got a reasonable following. If you got a decent following, this type of shit's gonna happen all the time. And on top of that, if I have a drone in my portfolio, that's gonna allow me to reach out to people and offer them my drone modeling services. I think we can just get rid of this one. No, we can't, because then it's not the same shape as this one, unless we get rid of this one up here too, so we gotta wire this somehow. We gotta bring this one to the front as well. Fuck. Maybe we can just bring another loop cut. Or another knife cut here. From this vertex. Down to, let's say, here. And if we straighten them out, like this, then we can go back to having this loop cut here. So this is all connected properly. We're gonna have to do the bevels here, we'll do that later. And now we can do another loop cut here, and that's going to allow us to connect this. Let's just make sure that this is aligned properly. So now we can probably just bridge edge loops like this. What the fuck? We got an extra. We got an extra that we don't need. This one here, do we need it? Do we need it? No, we don't. Because it's a triangle here, so we can slide that, and now we'll be able to bridge these. Bridge edge loops, fill this in, and then you can take this and you can slide it. And now everything is nice and connected down here. I don't want a bevel here. No bevel here. This just has to be a little round corner. Maybe we can probably even slide this down all the way. And then we have to fill in the bottom. Although this part is supposed to be way thinner. Way thinner. So we're gonna have to lift all this up a little bit. This entire section, we're gonna have to lift it up a little bit. Let's say up until around here somewhere. I also want to make it a little bit more flat. Let's try something like this. Maybe even more. What do you think? And then I guess it's supposed to go upwards at an angle at some point. It starts to move upwards, but maybe we don't have to worry about that too much. Let's see what we can do. Because it's supposed to start. See how very, very thin it is over here in the front, and let's just clarify where is the gap between these two. This is the part with the little eye. Let's just make a little eye there for clarity, like this, and we can delete that. And this is probably supposed to go a little bit lower down. This might have to be a little bit thicker, this section. And then this part, at some point it just starts going upwards. So let's see if we can just kind of start to lift this up a little bit like this, because it's a little bit curved down here, right? And this is supposed to be super thin. Super fucking thin. We have too many edge loops. We have too many loops up here, so we can't just compress them all. Maybe we can get rid of some of them. For example, maybe we can get rid of this one here, and then just connect this into here. Now this is supposed to be so fucking thin, it's crazy. Let's say we want to have this part the same thickness as this little step over here. So we're going to take this little step and lift it up a little bit more. Let's say we're going to bring it up to here. And maybe later we'll just lower this entire section down a little bit further if we want to make everything a little bit thicker up here. But now that gives us some more room to play around. For example, this part here is supposed to be something like this. And this is going to be pretty damn tricky. Maybe we're supposed to have this whole thing here sloping downwards a little bit. How about that? Let's try that. Let's use our shear tool for that. Like this, so we can even take these parts over here. If we use our shear tool and everything takes this nice little angle. I don't know if that's really what it looks like, but it's gonna look cute anyway. And then maybe we can take the inner part and push it in a little bit further, and use our G-stretch tool to straighten it out later. I don't know how that's going to affect our surface, but let's try and find out. You want to crank your undo steps all the way up, guys. You want to go to Preferences, System, and you want to take your undo steps here to whatever you can take it to. 256 is the maximum, because that way you can undo 256 times. I think by default it's like 200, it's like 16 or 32 or something pathetic. And then you can only undo a couple of steps. So if you fuck up, then you can undo as much as you want, and you're gonna have a lot more room to play around. Talking about Russians. Who's talking about Russians? Do you like Russian guys? I'm not a homosexual, but I do like Russian people, and I do like Russia in general. I wanted to travel to Russia. I still want to. I hear Russia's a great place. Russia doesn't participate in any of the nonsense that happens over here in the West. The reason the Ukraine war is happening, guys, is because the West is fucking pushing it. So the Russians started this as a way to stop NATO from expanding all the way up to their borders. And right now, and if you look at the short, like the immediate aftermath of the beginning of the war, what happened was Putin came in and he wanted to negotiate with these people, but the West came in and said, no, don't negotiate them, fight them, fight them, fight them, fight them, fight them. Everybody knows Ukraine doesn't stand a fucking chance against Russia, and especially without Western support, they would have already collapsed a long time ago. So Russia's the one trying to resolve this issue in a reasonable way, and the West is one that keeps pushing it because they're making money off of the war. You send money, they're laundering money, sending multi-billion-dollar packages over there. Guess whose pockets that ends up in? Didn't Zelensky buy a fucking mansion somewhere and just end up absolutely loaded because of all this thing? Aryan, is your ebook worth getting for a newcomer like me at 29 years old? I mostly want to learn Blender right now because of modding for Arma and DayZ. Man, I used to play those games all the time. Love doing game assets, really love your content. Yeah, the ebook is designed for anybody who's, even if you're a complete beginner. It shows you all the tools that you can see me using here. Fucking shear tool, 3D cursor, modifiers, all the tools that you can see over here, all the selection tools, everything. If you just tear everything up, if you just break up, if you open everything up, all the different tools that you have in Blender that I ever use for anything, I explained all of those in my ebook. All right, so it's gonna expand your arsenal for modeling tools. And when you know about a bunch of different tools, now when you look at something, it's going to be much easier to create it. For example, if I didn't know about the shear tool that I just used here, I don't know how the fuck I would create the slope here. And I would look at it and say, this is impossible, this cannot be done. If I didn't know about the loop tools, right now, I wouldn't know how to straighten this out. I would probably try to do it manually or something. So the ebook is designed to teach you as many tools as possible for modeling, and then you're going to be able to handle your projects more easily. It doesn't teach you about any projects because I don't think it has to. If you try to learn as a beginner by following projects, what's going to happen is you're only going to learn the tools that are used in those particular projects. You're not going to learn about everything else. So you're not going to be equipped for a next project because you're not going to have nobody walking you or guiding you or taking your hand and walking you across the street like a little child through that project. So that's why I wrote the ebook, so everything is there, and then you can use that for your own project. Russia invaded Ukraine for no good reason, nothing less, nothing more. That shows me that you never studied anything about this conflict whatsoever. When this war started, this always happens anytime some shit goes down. All of a sudden, everybody on social media, everybody on Instagram is posting about, oh, Slava Ukraine, oh, help them. Whenever there's something going down in Gaza, oh, help them support these people. Whenever there's Black Lives Matter, everybody's posting black stories. Or, just a black fucking picture or BLM or all this shit. Everybody's supporting this stuff just because they see everybody else doing it. And in my view, I remember this shit took off and everybody's like, oh yeah, support Ukraine, fuck Putin, fuck Russia. And I thought, wait a minute, all these people posting about this, I know for a fact that none of them know a damn thing about the background of this conflict. None of them know why this is happening. None of them even know what's happening. None of them have any fucking idea. I didn't know neither. So I decided that what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to educate myself on the conflict before I form an opinion about it. So I did a little bit of research. I found this lecture called "Why Ukraine is the West's Fault" by John Mearsheimer. And I watched the lecture because I always like it when there's somebody offering an alternative point of view. Okay, most people just get mad about it because this is not what everybody else is saying. If I go with this narrative, that means I can't agree with anybody else. That means I'm going to be the outcast. That means I'm going to lose all my friends. And that means that everyone's going to hate me and everybody's scared of that, right? So I said, fuck it, let me check out this lecture. I recommend anybody to check this out. Check out the lecture called "Why Ukraine is the West's Fault" by John Mearsheimer. And he breaks it down for you in a way that I have yet to see somebody counter the points that he has made there, because I did my absolute best to find somebody who made a counter argument. I used to participate in debates competitively when I was in high school and elementary school. And what happens is you get one point of view, all right, and then you take the key arguments and you have to oppose them with a counter argument, all right. If you can't do that, it doesn't matter if it upsets you, it doesn't matter if you don't like it, but that means that the other person is right. And until you can prove them wrong with evidence, until you can support your counter arguments, that person wins, that person's in the right. Whether you like it or not, that's the way it goes. So I tried to find an opposing view, I tried to find an alternative, somebody who opposed this professor. He's a very famous professor. When I tried to find this, I couldn't find nothing. The main incentive Putin claimed was fighting Nazis in Ukraine. This is not the reason for the war at all. This is not even close to the reason for the war. So I recommend to you, Mr. Grobin, to just try to look into why this happened. Don't go to Google, because when you go to Google, you're going to get Western media, of course, want you to believe their side of the story, so you would support them. But I highly encourage you, if you're asking me for reasons, if you're trying to enter a debate where you want to find the truth, like I do, for example, I'm not trying to take a personal position with anything. I just want to find the truth. I highly recommend that you check out the lecture that I told you by John Mearsheimer, why Ukraine is the West's fault. Check that out, and then come back to me and then tell me what the counter argument is. Tell me what he got wrong, because so far I haven't found anything wrong. That's what I based my opinion on, and I think he was absolutely right in that lecture. All right, we're gonna have a little flat surface down here. I think maybe this wing is a little bit too wide, but it doesn't matter. It's gonna look pretty fucking cool. Our topology's gotta be flowing in a different way here. Something like something sort of like this. That's how our topology should be flowing here. Now we fucked it up because it's a little bit bumpy down here. Let me show you. Matcap. You want to use your matcaps to check out this kind of thing. To spot curves and bending and stuff like that. You can see how the light flows. There's a little bit of, it's not a flat surface, it's a little bit bent. Now we definitely want this part to be completely flat, so maybe we should try flattening the whole thing again and just using the shear tool on one dimension, on one axis. See what happens. But usually what happens when you get into these kind of discussions, if you try to propose a logical argument, if you try to propose facts and reason, people are always personally attached to their own points of view, so they refuse to listen to anything else. They refuse to listen to anything else, and they just get mad at you, and they get at you with like, oh, do you really buy this? They start throwing in some insults, and they start trying to make a fool out of you. And this is not the way for discourse. I highly encourage you to check out both sides of the argument before you start getting into debates with people about this shit. That's my honest advice to you. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, maybe you can correct me. But I'm just hoping to bring to your attention that the idea that I've seen this before, and this is an argument that typically comes from people who have not taken the time to study the background and the origins of this war, because it's definitely not that he's trying to fight Nazis and all this shit. That's definitely not what it is. Yeah, I talked about immigration before. I said the reason immigration is happening is because of fucking EU. EU is basically all the politicians in European countries are all about serving the EU because they want to secure a better position for themselves. And when the EU comes in and says, hey, you got to do this, they're going to do it. Nobody voted for the fucking immigrants. Nobody wants this to be happening in Europe, but it's happening nonetheless. And that's because our politicians are self-serving. They're not serving the nation. Fucking hell, what do we do here? Fucking hell, look what we did, guys. We made a very big mess. Maybe we should have quads running this way. This way. Now, as long as I place my 3D cursor on any of these vertices down here, it's always gonna be on the same plane as this surface down here. So if I now extrude this and scale it towards the 3D cursor, it's still going to be on the same plane as this down here. That's a little bit of vector math for you. But high school killed my passion for mathematics. Killed my passion for mathematics. Mathematics is a fascinating subject. Anything is really a fascinating subject if you got a good teacher. Depends on who's telling you about these things. If you have somebody who doesn't make it very enjoyable, you're not gonna like it. You're forever going to carry that impression of the subject that you got from a particular professor. If your professor at uni for business is a very boring old man, you're not gonna listen to the fucker. When he's talking, you're not even listening. You're thinking about when's the class gonna end. But if you have somebody cussing, you have somebody pull up in a Lamborghini and two bitches and they start talking about business, well, all of a sudden everybody listens. Isn't that right? All of a sudden everybody pays attention because it's fun. It's not just a boring, politically correct subject anymore. What's the best hard surface add-on? I don't use any add-ons. I don't use any add-ons. Hello from Uzbekistan. You know, when I lived in Poland, I don't live in Poland anymore, but when I lived in Poland, the Polish people, they're not very friendly. The Polish people don't say hello. Not really. Like, in a building, people don't really say, it just tends to be, they're just not very nice fucking people. When you go to the gym, nobody wants to talk. Nobody says hello. It's not a normal thing to socialize with strangers there. If you go to the taxi, they don't even say hello. They don't say goodbye. They don't say nothing. They don't want to talk to you whatsoever. They don't even speak any English. If they speak English, they don't want to speak English. But when there was the driver from Uzbekistan, which was the case most of the time, it was Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and these countries around there, all the time, so where are you from, my friend? So how are you today? So they hardly speak any English, but they really try. And I speak Croatian, and these guys would always speak Russian. If they're from Kazakhstan or something, or from Uzbekistan living in Poland, they would always speak Russian. So I can kind of speak a little bit of Croatian to them, and they speak to me in a little bit of Russian. We can kind of understand each other for some of the things that we're talking about. And you can't really talk, but at least they try, and they're super friendly. That's where I got an impression, an opinion on the people of Uzbekistan. I have a feeling it's like that over there. This guy was fucking legit. This guy was a taxi driver in Poland, Warsaw. He was out there hustling, making money, sending money home. He told me he put his family in a house for $50,000. He sent back home, put his wife and kids in a house there while he's hustling over here in Warsaw. He's got himself a Belarusian girlfriend, and he's doing his thing. Mr. John Mearsheimer is highly unpopular by the Israel lobby because he says what is the truth, and they control both the woke left and the right, and in all likelihood Uncle Sam will be in a war with Iran. Yeah, that's exactly right. The problem is that when you say something about the Israel lobby, which controls the United States from head to toe, if you look at the presidents, they all bend to the will of the Israelis. No matter what their personal wishes are, there's no way you're going to go against them. If you criticize the Israel lobby, all of a sudden you're an anti-Semite, all of a sudden you're the worst person on earth, all of a sudden the Holocaust, you can't say things like that, and then everybody's pressed down, pushed into a little corner where they can't say anything about the truth, so people are afraid to say the fucking truth. And this is how they run all of American policies, both foreign and domestic. Okay, so we managed to make this a little bit nicer. Probably we want to make it a little bit better still. If we can do that using loop tools. Relax. Let's do loop tools space first and see what happens. Then loop tools relax. Linear. Give me some more iterations here. I just want to turn it into a bit more of a curve. There we go. Something like this. And now, well, the problem here is that we have to start thinking about how we're going to add this circular hole underneath. We have to have a little bump there. We're going to have a little bump, which means we're going to have to probably take some geometry like this. Maybe this one here. This is going to have to be a little bump, but our geometry is going to have to be arranged in a different way for this to work. So we're going to have some quads down here, which we can then inset and turn into a circular hole. Right? But of course we need more geometry because a square is not going to cut it, because when you subdivide a square, it's not going to turn into a perfect circle. It's going to be a little bit squarey. So you need at least 8 vertices in a circle. Even though that's still not a perfect circle, it's never really going to be a perfect fucking circle. Doesn't that wing part you're doing, half of it goes a little bit lower too? Yeah, the lower half, the inner part goes a little bit lower. However, it's hard to see what the shape is really supposed to look like. It's kind of like we have to pull everything down from the inside like this, and it's just a pain in their fucking ass, and I can't figure out how to do it correctly without bending everything and busting everything up. So I don't want to try, so it's a little bit easier to do it this way. And like I said at the beginning, I'm making my own version of this thing, because I'm not trying to do this for the real company. I don't have the blueprints. I don't have the thing which I can use as a reference. If I was doing this for real, I would probably have those materials and those resources with me. At least I would ask for them from a client. And then I'd be able to see, okay, it looks like this from this angle. Otherwise, you just kind of have to eyeball it. And if you eyeball it, it's hard to see exactly what it's supposed to look like. Give us some advices about Fiverr. First of all, get on all the platforms. Get on all the platforms, and you have to make sure that you have a very beautiful profile. So you have to make sure that you have good projects. This is most people's problem is that their projects aren't shit. So when you look at them, when somebody wants to have something visualized, they look at yours and they think, this doesn't really look right. So most people rush way too quickly into trying to get clients, even though they don't really know that their projects most likely look like shit a lot of times, and you got to work on them a little bit more. Usually it's either the lighting or it's something about the way the scene is set up, because a lot of people fuck up by trying to make their own scenes, by trying to visualize things themselves, by trying to bring their own ideas into the world, which is not the way to go. If you're learning, you want to copy somebody else's work first, so you see how scenes are supposed to be set up. You want to copy the lighting. You want to make sure that you know how to do it right, and then after you've done that 5 or 6 times, then you can start doing it, trying to come up with your own scenes. So what are we going to do about this part? What I wish that I could do is just run a loop through here, through the entire thing, so I can just subdivide it a couple of times. We can add a loop here. Now we just got a triangle. How about this? Get rid of this. We wire this differently. Dissolve edges, dissolve edges. Now we got a quad here. Now we can add a loop gut over here, which is going to give us a little bit more geometry. But we also have to do the same thing up here to make sure that the curvature is the same because of the subdivision surface modifier. If we could add another loop gut here, that would be great, but we can't really do that. Yeah, we could. But then we also got to do something about the placement of this geometry here. Maybe another loop gut here. But that might fuck with our topology. As you can see here. That's actually pretty good. That's not too bad at all. So now we have a little bit more geometry here to where, well, now we only have 6 faces. But maybe we can, fucking hell. Maybe we can extrude this one more time out to around here somewhere. And then we're gonna have a little bit more tiles to play with. A couple more tiles to play with. For example, now we can use these here. We could use these here to make a hole. A circular hole, except of course we have to arrange this in a much nicer way, because right now it looks like shit. So let's try loop tool space, loop tools G stretch, loop tools space, 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 there we go. Still looks a little busted. And we have to turn this into a straight line. And then we can use loop tool space here, or no, not with this one. See, now our geometry is going to allow us to do this a little bit better. And this is the part where you got to spend a bunch of time just playing around with it, just tweaking little things to make sure the shape looks right. For example, I want this to be a little bit more soft and round here. I'll take this down a little bit further, align this down there. I got a loud ass mouse, guys. I busted my old mouse because it wasn't listening to me. So I smashed the fucker. I took him, smashed him to the floor. Because otherwise I'm never going to get around to get a new one. But if I smash him, now I got to get a new one, but I didn't end up getting a new one. I just took another one from the closet, which works fine. But it's a little bit loud. It's a little bit clunky. I had the Logitech, what's the name of the famous one? G20 or something like that. G150, I don't know what the fuck it's called. But that was a hell of a mouse. Okay. It's not supposed to be that much of a bump. Our wing is way too far out, that's for sure. I'm not willing to go back and take it further inwards, because then I got to take this whole thing and scale it down, and Maybe I could do it. Maybe we can do it. What do you think, guys? Maybe it shouldn't be too hard. Let's try. But it's also gonna fuck up our bevel at the top. Something like this, right? If we scale everything down, now it works a little different. Maybe we can delete these. So we still have 8 faces down here. Slide this up a little bit. Slide this inwards a little bit. I don't know how big this hole is supposed to be. That's the other problem. Still a bit of a fucked up circle. Let's do Shift 7. If you press Shift 7, your view gets aligned with the selected faces. Now this is only going to work if you have a perfectly flat surface, because otherwise it's going to, when you rotate it, it's going to come out of place. But something like this. What does Thomas Collins say? You can use lattice to do such a thing. Which thing? Let's try to arrange this a little bit better. I mean, I think it'll work out. We do got a hole down at the bottom. We do got that. It would be nice if we could slide this out a little bit further. Fucking hell. If we could slide this out a bit further so that... Look, why does it go in different directions? If we slide this out, then we get a little bit more space down there. What was that? 0.2. 0.2. And look, we also fucked this part up completely. So we're going to go back to G stretch. Fucking hell. Oh, this part too. Loop tools, G stretch, straighten them out a little bit. What happened? Look at that. Oh, I think it's only on the top part. See, G stretch doesn't want to listen to me. Not when you use project, it doesn't want to listen. But when you use spread, all of a sudden it listens. Fuck. And now it doesn't do anything. Okay, which part is giving us trouble? This part inside here. See, when you do it individually, then it works. We already did this one. That's a little better. And now we got a little hole down here. Fine. It's not really the gap, the space around the hole is not very even. We can work on that by sliding shit around a little bit more, or something like that. But I think it's quite all right. How about this? Oh, Mr. Patching in the house. Yeah, I'm doing pretty damn good. Discount on eBook. You can do a crypto discount on the eBook. We have a 25% discount for crypto payments because I want people to start using cryptocurrencies more. Because people don't understand that cryptocurrency is the future. Cryptocurrency is a way that allows you to live your life with a little bit more freedom, all right, without having the government intervene for everything that you want to do. If you want to transfer money to somebody, if you want to withdraw money to somebody, they ask you, what do you want to use it for? What the fuck do you care? Do I have to justify it to you what I'm sending money to somebody for, why I'm receiving money? Are you crazy? To the government, were they honest and fair? They gotta regulate my shit. Are you serious? Crypto takes all this stuff out of the question. When you go by bank transfer, you have to put in all the fucking details, and then you gotta request the transfer, and then they gotta decide whether or not they're gonna allow you to make the transfer. So if you're trying to send or receive money from Iran, they're not gonna let you do it because this is an enemy country. Who here is enemies with Iran? Is Iran your enemy? Why did the news tell you that Iran is bad? If you get a client from Iran, you can't receive a payment via fucking bank transfer. They don't even have Stripe going on down there. Probably they don't have Stripe in half the countries. In half the countries that people watch me from, for example, a lot of people tell me they don't have Stripe. A lot of times they don't have PayPal. They don't have nothing. So if you want to work with any of these people, if you want to have clients from some distant country, well, you can't do it unless you got crypto. Crypto is the best way to do it. No fees or very low fees. So that's why I offered a discount for the ebook with crypto to incentivize the usage of crypto, because it is absolutely the future. Anybody who doesn't jump on that train is going to have a rough time. What is the most important part of a good render except a good model? Lighting. Because if you have good lighting, you can have a shit model and it can still look good. And for that, look into 3-point lighting. 3-point lighting, that's all you're ever going to need. And learn about HDRIs and you're going to be fine. We have this little wall down here. Hello Aryan, how's it going and where you been all this time? I've been in Estonia. I've been to Sweden. Been moving around a little bit, doing some things behind the screens. Because YouTube is not all that I do with my life, unfortunately, or fortunately. So I've been focusing on some other things. When the quantum computers come out, there will be no use. No use for what? What is the likelihood that you would ever model something like a jet or a plane? Yeah, I would like to, because I'm working on a fucking yacht. I'm working on a boat because I want to get into luxury architectural visualization. And if I do that, well, visualizing the interior of a jet, of a private jet, would be pretty nice too. A boat is extremely difficult to model. It's absolutely brutal. Because I'm modeling a super yacht, which is like 50 meters. It's like modeling a whole building with a bunch of different rooms, you gotta do the interior, the exterior. It's a real pain in the ass to model the boat. But when I do, as I continue to go down that path of visualizing luxury, jets are gonna be something pretty cool to do. But I made a little Spitfire airplane a long time ago. There's a video on my channel where I modeled a Spitfire airplane. So it's gonna give you a rough idea of how you can approach the modeling of an airplane. Now we're going to take this shit down. Somewhere around here, let's say we're going to start to drop. So let's say we can extrude it. I don't want a bevel here anymore. No, we can't do that either, but we can do something like this. Well, now we've got a triangle, so that we kind of fucked ourselves there. Now, if we just extrude this down a little bit further, it might work. Not really, it's still a little bit crooked. Oh, it's because of the bevels. Okay. Although I think that we're probably supposed to have a little bit of a flat surface down here. And a bevel here. A little bit of a flat surface first, and then the big drop. Something like this, right? but it's not really supposed to be sharp, is it? At least not on the top part. So let's stick with something like this. And then it goes up to around here somewhere, maybe a little bit higher. I'll take all this shit and lift it up a little bit further. No value in crypto, says Mocha. Oh, my friend. That's what you think. That's what people say when you can't pay in the shop with cryptocurrency, so it's valueless. What am I going to do with crypto? The value in crypto is that you can send money anywhere in the world instantly without anybody getting in between you and your transaction. You can use your money privately without it being any banker's business. The reason a bank wants you to put money in there is because they make money off of your money. So they don't care about you, they care about themselves. So if the bank goes bust, as you know happens quite often, you think they're going to give you your money, you think they give a fuck about you, you're going to lose all your money, they're going to keep all that shit. If you got crypto, that's the only time money is really yours. When you keep your money in the bank, that money's not yours. The number that you see on your screen is the amount of money that the banks owe you, okay, on paper, all right? And as you know, if a company goes bust, they can't pay their debts. They don't pay their debts, they go bankrupt, and that's the end of it. They're going to keep your money. So if you're somebody who wants to be able to use your money when the shit kicks the fan, for example, if for whatever reason you want to if you want to exercise your freedom of speech, as the farmers did in Canada, and you don't want to get your bank accounts blocked, as the farmers did in Canada, for exercising your freedom of speech, then you might want to look into cryptocurrency and keep some of your money there and learn about decentralized exchanges. If you want to use it for investing, that's a whole different story. But the way things are looking right now, it seems pretty unlikely that 2 years from now, crypto is not going to be doing better than it is today. Alright, these here, this one's supposed to be a little bit higher than this one. And now we get to this really fucked up shape at the bottom. But maybe we should make this cut here first. And by the way, look how this is kind of curved. I don't know if I want to do that. Maybe it's even separated. I don't know what's going on here. But we're not going to do that, just because I don't feel like it. The thing about cryptocurrencies is that most people have no idea what they even are and how they work. That's the real problem. And most people don't really pay attention to what's happening in the world. If you look at the UK, for example, people come knock on your house because of something you post on social media. If I lived in the UK, you think I'd be able to be over here on the internet? I would have been busted a long time ago. They show up to your house because you said something on social media which is deemed hateful and dangerous. You got police knocking on your door. They got people that freeze people's bank accounts. This shit happens all the time. I don't know where you got to be living to not have noticed this, but this happens all the time, especially in the Western world. So if you want to be able to say stuff without losing your money, without losing your entire life, you might want to set up some crypto. And I guess most people are too lazy to do it, but the way I see it, what I want to do is I want to meet as many people who do use crypto as possible. I want to associate with those kind of people and then do as much business as possible with those people. So for example, in my business that you guys see here with the whole 3D modeling thing, I always offer crypto for my 3D modeling services, for my courses, for my ebooks and stuff like that. I always offer crypto as a payment method, because I want to work with people who do use crypto, so that I can get out of the conventional monetary system as much as possible. And I don't really live in the same world as the people who don't see this as something that you should definitely be trying to do, because if you don't live in this world, from my perspective, you've been living under a rock, and you're not even paying attention to the world around you, and you're just getting fucked left and right. You're not trying to protect yourself in any way, and I don't really want to be around those kind of people, to be honest with you. Why would I? Why would I be around somebody who hasn't noticed that the financial system is completely fucked, it's completely corrupted? They don't give a shit about you, they'll freeze your bank account over the smallest thing, they'll ruin your life. You can't speak your mind, you can't say anything online, you can't do anything, you can't do business with people around the world because your government said that they're bad. I don't see this as a way to live life. But some people say, oh, you're a crazy conspiracy theorist. Well, so be it. So be it. I'm fucking crazy. If that's the world you want to live in, so be it. You have the freedom to live whatever kind of life you want. And that's fine by me. It's none of my business what you want to do with your money. But for those of you guys that are aware of what's going on, I recommend checking out crypto as an alternative way to handle your finances. What's happening here? It's like our bevel's not sharp enough. See that? I think it's probably just because the bevels are not the same on these two parts. Maybe we need a bevel running here. Nope, that didn't do it. Maybe over here too. Fucking hell. How many bevels we need? No, this is the problem on the underside here. Yeah, we probably have to just fill in this shape. And then it's going to work a little bit differently. So what should the next live stream be about, guys? What should we do in the next live stream? What is the best topic on my channel for the next live stream? What do you guys say? What happened down here? Yeah, the bevel. The bevel's not tough enough. Why not? There we go. Because we had an end gone. What's happening up here? Probably the same shit. Yeah, it's because we have a bevel here, which we don't need. Okay. And this is supposed to be angled backwards a little bit, right? So we have to take all of this, all this stuff on the corner, and let's just, I think we can just move it backwards a little bit like this. And in that case, we have to, oh shit. We could have probably just used our shear tool for this. So let's select this shear tool, and let's set that. We can do this too. Let's set that to 0.5, let's say, because then it puts it on 45 degrees. That'll do. And now we want to change the pivot point and do it again up here. 0.5. There we go. Maybe we should do the same in the back. Yeah, fuck it, let's do it. What else are we gonna do? We can start from the top. This time it's gonna be minus 0.5. Copy that number. And then we can select all of this here and all of this here. Shear tool. Minus, fucking hell, minus 0.5. And now we got the other problem going on over here, which is with our spacing, so the curve is not the same. So we want to take all this here. Okay, let's do loop tool space. And we're going to do the same down here. Do you guys hear the birds singing out my window? Isn't that fucking beautiful? Some blackbirds singing out my window. There we go. There we go. Now we can give this, if we want to now, if we want to make these corners sharper, which might be something that I want to do, then we'll just slide this down a little further. Now let's slide this a little further. Fucking hell. 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 2.5. 0.5 is better. Minus 0.5. Same thing over here. And the same thing on the other side. We can't do them simultaneously because Blender doesn't let us. But that's fine. There, now it's a little bit sharper. So you do hear the fucking birds, isn't that great? How to get high value clients network. What's a high value client? A high value client is somebody who pays you a substantial amount of money, and it's somebody who you can work with repeatedly, right? That's a high value client. So the way you establish a partnership where somebody is willing to pay you lots of money on a regular basis, okay, is you have to get somebody who knows that you do the job right, somebody you have a good relationship with, so they want to work with you and not some cheap ass on Fiverr, which means you got to go way overboard with the quality of your services, all right? Because this is what's going to set you apart from everybody else, okay? For example, if I work with a video editor, or if I work with anybody for anything, if this person just does the job, they literally just follow my instructions like a bot, and that's it, well, I can replace them by just getting somebody else to do the same thing. But if this person is somebody who uses their mind because they don't just want to do their job, they want to help me improve my business by doing their job, that means they're going to come up with their own ideas, which they're going to throw into the fucking game. They're going to suggest certain things. They're going to say, hey, this might be better. Hey, here's a good idea for you. They're going to help you come up with ideas that you never thought of before, all right? And when you have this kind of person around, you're willing to pay them a much higher amount of money on a repeated basis because they bring so much more value to you than just the service which you initially hired them for. And this is the kind of shit you should be trying to do. If you have a job right now, for example, you should be trying to do everything in your power to contribute as greatly as possible. And if you got a good business owner, if you got a good boss, he's going to recognize this. If it's a shit boss, he's not going to care because he's just here to make some money and that's all he cares about. And this goes through trial and error. But eventually, if you're doing everything right, if you're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing, eventually someone's going to recognize and appreciate your efforts and your work. And this is how you get a good raise at work. It's the same shit when you're working with clients. If you get a client, for example, this is how you can form a relationship. If you get a client for something simple, somebody from Instagram who you don't know, they found you their content and they want to hire you to do a $200 job for them, okay? Which is a low ticket job. It's a low fee, right? That's a low paying client. If you do the $200 job, the best you can, of course, as quickly as you can, and you offer them a bunch of other things that you can offer them. For example, if they're trying to play around with 3D modeling, which is often the case from clients who want to hire you for something, they're also trying to do some 3D modeling themselves, but they can't. This is a little bit too hard for them, so they hired you, but they're going to try to do the rest themselves. Just offer, hey, if you need some help, just reach out to me. I'm not going to charge you nothing. I'll help you out. I'll give you some advice, okay? And then they might do it. So they might reach out to you and ask you some questions again and again. Now you have a little relationship with you where you're the guy they go to for help with 3D modeling. And now if something else comes up, they're going to come to you again, all right? So this is the way it goes. And you should be friends with people who run businesses of all sorts If you're somebody who's younger, if you're somebody who's a teenager, find your way into circles. Take any opportunity you can to hang out with people who do business, who run some sort of a business, and just offer your help for free. Make sure you can do it good. Make sure that your works aren't shit. Don't embarrass yourself. Don't put them in an uncomfortable position where they need your help but they don't want to accept it because they don't want to tell you that your work is shit. Alright, don't do that. This is why you need feedback on your models, alright? And this is why we got the Digitally Enhanced Club, so that you can get feedback. I can give you my feedback. Other people who are doing this professionally can give you their feedback, give you some ideas to make sure that your portfolio is on point, alright? To make sure that your quality of work is right. And then when you're hanging out with the right people, and they see that you're the guy that can do this right, you offer to help them for free in whatever way you can. You just express genuine interest to help people. And this is a rule for life in general, right? This is what Christianity is all about. You should not focus on yourself. You should focus on others. You should focus on helping others. That's the only way you can find fulfillment. And the universe is going to reward you for this, all right? For example, if you want it in practical terms, someone's going to appreciate your effort. Someone's going to appreciate the fact that you're doing more than you need to be doing just because you want to help them, all right? They're going to recognize this, and that's when they're going to want to hire you to do something else. And this is why you got to be hardworking. This is why you got to do more than you're asked to do. Always offer something else. This one time when I was a kid, I was probably like 10. I went to shop with mom. She bought me some fucking t-shirts or something. I don't know. And there was a guy at the checkout. And when we were checking out, he was like, "Yeah, if you want anything else, you want some socks? Look, we got some socks on discount." Mom said, "No, thank you." And he said something else. "We got some underwear on discount if you want." He offered like a bunch of different things as we were checking out. Mom said, "No, thank you," and we left. And we go outside the shop. And I asked Mom, "Why was that guy, why did he keep asking you if you want all this different shit? Isn't that annoying? Like, why did he do all that? I mean, doesn't he know that you're just here for t-shirts? I mean, if he wanted socks, he would have got some socks." And my mom told me, "No. It's a great fucking job on his part. He did an excellent job because he's not bothering you. He's not pushing it. He's not being an asshole. He's just offering. They got this shit on. Maybe you didn't know. Maybe you need some socks. If you want, here you go. If you want to. If you don't want to, it's fine. He'll just point it out to you to remind you that they offer this as a service. Because a lot of times people don't even know that you offer certain services, or it doesn't even cross their mind that maybe they need this. For example, maybe I didn't go to the shop to buy fucking socks because I didn't even think about my socks. I just thought about my shirt. But maybe I just ran out of socks. I need some new socks, and I forgot about it. And now he reminded me, so maybe I'm going to buy them. Someone's going to buy them. He did a better job. He upsold them. And it's the same thing in anything you do. You want to try offer something extra for free. Offer whatever you can. If you're working with somebody, offer to check out their works for them. Offer to make something else for them if they need to. When you do another project, for example, if somebody hired you to do a certain job. For example, I just had a client who with whom I worked, and they wanted some kind of a mask done. And for example, what I could do, if I want to establish a bit more of a relationship with this person, is if I'm ever modeling something else, I could model something similar to what they wanted, and I could just bring it to their attention. "Hey, look what I made. I thought maybe you'll like this. Maybe you'll find this interesting." And it maybe, just maybe, now that I reached out to them, they'll think, "Oh yeah, this is that guy I worked with. We had a great collaboration. Shit, maybe I need him for something else. Look what he's doing. He's doing something similar to this. Maybe I need him for something else." So you want to stay in touch with people. You want to look at people as you want to build relationships with them, not just you want to use them to make some money and forget about them. That should not be your mentality in business. Because people know. People can tell when you're just trying to use them to make money versus when you're actually trying to help them. You're actually trying to build friendships. And again, that's what networking is all about. I just got fucked up again. What happened? Is it because of this? It's because of this part. There we go. And this. We still got some bullshit happening down here. That's probably going to go away when we extrude this inwards. Yeah, that fixed it, but we don't want to extrude that inwards now. Okay, how far did we get? We busted something up here, didn't we? And we need some bevels here. How far did we get? Well, we got the rough shape down for the body. The next steps are going to be making this part down here. So we got a lot of details. This part in the front here, adding the camera, adding these little things. We got a bunch of little details to work on here. And I don't want to do all that shit today. How long have we been on stream today? We've been on for 2 hours and 40 minutes. Let me answer some more questions and we're going to wrap it up. Hello, your tutorials are amazing. Thank you. How can I add details to my hard surface project without a backup image? Like if I made an imaginary weapon, how do I add details to make it look more realistic? Well, look at other weapons and take some details from there. Maybe you can take inspiration from something else. Like maybe you can take a spaceship from Star Wars and look at some features on that spaceship, just some random details to make it look cool, and incorporate those elements in your own work if you're doing something completely imaginary. If you're trying to design your own gun, which is supposed to look very realistic, then you got to make a bunch of existing guns first, and then after you do that, you're going to get the hang of it. You're going to understand what features these guns typically have, and then you're going to be able to add them to your own models. And again, a lot of people make the mistake if they try to do their original works without being familiar with how to do any works at all. So first you should try to copy other people's works, recreate projects, recreate existing things. And if you do this enough times, that's when you're going to remember all the details, you're going to remember all the little things, and you're going to be able to add them to your own model. How do you quit bad habits? Well, first of all, if you want to quit something, you're going to quit it, right? The problem is that you don't want to quit your bad habits. What's a bad habit? What's a bad habit? Skipping the gym and playing video games? That's a bad habit. Well, how about tonight you don't turn on your video game and you go to the gym instead, all right? I know you don't want to do it, you don't feel like doing it, but either you're going to do it or you're not going to do it. I can't come over there and slap you in the face and drag you out of your fucking house. No one's going to do that for you. So if you don't have enough motivation by thinking, if you think about the positive results, the positive outcome of you quitting your bad habits and replacing them with good habits, if you don't have enough, if the life that's going to lead to is not motivating enough to you, then there's nothing else I can tell you. There's no secret trick. You just gotta fucking drop it. If you don't want to do it, then you're not gonna do it. Do you always model with the modifiers active? Yeah, usually I model with subdivision surface because it exposes issues in the topology and I can see what it's going to look like, because I'm going to subdivide it anyway because it makes it look nicer and more realistic and more smooth and more round. So I usually model with this thing active. And I usually never apply it unless I'm doing texturing and UV unwrapping and stuff like that. Then you got to apply it because otherwise it's going to cause you all sorts of deformations and stuff like that. How long did it take you to find your first client? Not long after I started getting on YouTube. The first time I posted a tutorial about car modeling, a couple months later, maybe it was a couple months later that I had somebody reach out to me. Hey, I need you to design this car interior for my client. They were doing custom car interiors, luxury vehicles. It was like a V-Class Mercedes. I'll show you. I got a message on email because they saw my video. It was one of these, right? And you know how they do custom interiors for these things. So they had a client who wanted their V-Class Mercedes designed from the interior in a way that would match their offices and stuff like that. There was some rich guy wanted to have a V-Class which would look the same as his dentistry office, the same as his restaurant that he owned. He wanted the same kind of style inside his V-Class Mercedes. So I got hired based on this video. This guy reached out to me and saw I do this, so hey, can you help me model this custom interior for my client? So that was my first big project. And this is what happens when you post content online. This is why this is one of the main things I always tell people. How do you get clients? This is how you do it. So it's not going to take you very long if you do something spectacular and put it out there so the world can see it. If you make some cool shit and you put it out there, that's how people are going to find out about you. Mr. Patching says, I keep my savings in crypto and make extra money. I keep my savings in Bitcoin and make extra money just for it sitting there. That's right. Well, it fluctuates. So sometimes you're gonna lose money, but in the long run you're gonna get money. You can also buy crypto for like gold. You can buy a gold coin, like a gold coin which is stable to the value of gold. So it's like investing in fucking gold, really. I mean, you can't be stupid about it. You always gotta have a couple thousand in your bank on the side or in cash somewhere so you can use it if something happens to you. You always gotta have some money available to you. But anything that you don't need, if you don't know what to invest in, check out a time when crypto is low. For example, let's see the price of Bitcoin now. Bitcoin is pretty low now. Everything's pretty low now. Solana's low as fuck. Everything's cheap. Look, even silver's low now. So you can just put it into some of that, and eventually a couple of weeks go by, maybe it goes up, and then you can take some money out if you want to. But just keep it there in the long term, and it's going to grow. And now you also have crypto that you can buy stuff with, that you can perform transactions with. You got a wallet. So if somebody reaches out to you from Pakistan and they want to hire you for a service, well, you already got your crypto wallet set up, so you can just receive money there. Aryan, what keeps you motivated to keep modeling? The fact that I have a certain future and vision for myself, and the only way to get that is to do 3D modeling. So this is my motivation for anything, really. I think about my future and how am I going to get there. I'm going to do it by certain things. So I do 3D modeling professionally. I want to do it even more professionally. I want to be in this business. So that's what I do. I do 3D modeling. How do you calculate the price for mockups? I don't know what you mean by mockups, but how do you calculate price? We also did a lecture about this in our Blender school. We got a full breakdown of how to do your pricing. I made a whole PowerPoint and everything. How can you price your work if somebody wants to hire you? But in short, you calculate how much money you want to be making. What kind of salary do you think is reasonable for you? For example, I don't know. If you're starting out, let's say $1,000, $2,000 per month, let's say. And you calculate how much would this be in an hourly rate for a full-time job. So for example, would that be like, I don't know, 20, 25 bucks per hour? And then you estimate how many hours it's going to take you to complete that project. For example, I don't know, somebody wants you to visualize a perfume or make a little animation for them of something. You estimate, okay, it's going to take 1 hour to model it, 1 hour to texture it, 1 hour to set up the fucking environment, and then another 2 hours to do the animation and stuff like that, then another hour to render that, 6 hours. Okay, multiply that by your hourly rate. And make sure that when you present this to them, you have a document which breaks this down. I also talked about how to set this up. When I have a little document, we can explain this to them so you can get on call with them and they can see how you can justify your pricing. And they don't think you're just ripping them off. They think that they can see that you're actually pricing your works logically. And they're going to appreciate your transparency too. Nice beard. Any tips on that? It seems to be that the more testosterone flows through my blood, the better my beard got over the years. So lift some heavy fucking weights. Get yourself a hot girl. Go out a little bit, hang out with other guys, with other masculine men with beards. And this kind of energy is going to take over your life. And before you know it, your balls get hairier and your beard gets thicker. You might start balding if you're unlucky. But that's not too bad. It's better than looking like a punk. Feels like there's no good resource to learn topology. I got you there. In the description of this video, you will find a link to a free topology guide that I wrote. And in that guide, I explained everything that you got to know. So all the rules for topology, all the reasons why you have to know topology, how it's going to help you, how you're going to fuck yourself if you don't know good topology. So you can check that out. There's a link in the description. And it'll send you a free guide. It's like 16 pages or something. It's going to tell you everything you got to know. So that's a good resource for you right there. What is the best way to motivate myself to keep modeling after 10 hours of work? Well, again, there's no secret. Either you want to do it or not. What are you doing this for? Are you doing this because you want to do this professionally so you can live as a freelancer, so you can live as a free man, so you can live on your own terms? That should be your motivation. The only way to do it is to do your modeling and do your extra work after your 10 hours of work. You got weekends too, don't you? You got some days off. Instead of using those days off to watch football, use your energy to do your fucking modeling. If you're at work, when I was working a job, There will be times when there isn't really much to do. It's quiet hours. I was working as a dispatcher for a delivering company, for a food delivery company, and there will be times when there's not really any orders. I started off in this company as a delivery driver, and I'm in the car. There's no orders, but I always have my laptop with me, so I would always be doing something. Sometimes I'd have like an hour without anything to do. I just sit in the fucking car. So I'll pull my laptop out and I'll do some work. It's hard to do 3D modeling, but I was writing books. I was growing my social media. I was working on my content. I was working on networking. I was working on talking to people. You can always squeeze some time if you got the motivation to do it. If you don't got the motivation to do it, then you don't want it that bad. Make sure to keep your energy up throughout the day. Make sure you're not hanging around with people who are dragging your energy down. This is a big thing. A lot of people hang around with people who are low energy, and this is contagious. You need to understand this. People who got energy or people who got motivation to do stuff, it's contagious. Okay, so it'll carry over to you. If you're lazy one day, I don't feel like going to the gym, but you got a friend who's not lazy, he'll say, fuck you, you're coming to the gym with me. Alright? And, well, you're going to end up at the gym. If you're hanging out with low level losers who you started going to the gym with your friend who's also a gamer nerd and he has no motivation, he'll say, I don't feel like going today. Oh, we already went twice this week, we don't have to go again. Oh, let's just go play video games. You're going to end up playing video games. How old were you when you worked as a delivery guy? I was like 19 and up until the age of 20. I think I was 21 when I moved into the offices, so I was the guy at the dispatching team, which led to me having a much nicer wage. And it was a pretty nice company at the time when it was at its peak, so I was working my way up really quickly because, like I told you guys before, what I was paying attention to is how can I apply myself when I do this job to do the best job possible, and you better believe it. Your higher ups notice this shit. They notice you're doing a better job. They notice that you're reliable. If the managers have issues, you're here to step in. If they, for example, a lot of times when I was a delivery driver at this company, what I would have to do if there's somebody new is I would have to onboard them. So I'd have to teach them how to do the job. So I already knew how to onboard people. I was good at this shit. So if somebody comes into the offices, I can onboard them as well. So now I'm helping management with hiring new people. And when you do this type of stuff all the time, with managing people's shifts, with managing a bunch of different shit, they're gonna see, okay, this guy, if we ever have a problem, we can go to him. He can help us out. And before you know it, you're on your way to manager. Unfortunately, this company went bust before I had the chance to move into management. But if you apply yourself, you're gonna be able to work your way up pretty quickly. Seems like we kids can't get motivated. Yeah, because they're shoving all the fucking phones in your face. They're shoving all the laziness and anxiety and depression in your face. And nobody's supposed to be doing anything, just doing the bare minimum and being entitled to everything. Nobody wants to fucking work. Nobody knows what work means. Everybody just wants to relax and play video games because that's what everybody else is doing, watching Netflix and playing video games. So it's normal. It's fine. So when you go out of your way, people are gonna drag it down. Oh, well, you already went. Why do you want to go now? Don't go now. Stay here with me and watch this movie with me. Oh, we're going out. Go out with us. Yeah, I started making money at the age of 16, but it wasn't serious money. I stopped doing 3D modeling for a long time. I started by selling some models. I made like an AK-47 for the Unity store at the time. Made some money off of that. I had a couple little projects that I would make some money off of, like some little video game assets for video game creators that I met through Discord, by the way. And this is also how some of the students inside our Blender school also made some serious money. We had a guy, maybe he's here with us, his name is Sami. He had a serious client that he found just from a Discord channel, and this is another way to network with people, because when you're on Discord, for, I don't know, if you find a Discord for video game, for game development, and you go in there as a 3D artist, and you say, hey look, I made this gun for a video game model. And you interact with the community, you make some friends, you chat with some people. Before you know it, someone's gonna notice, hey look, this guy does fucking modeling. Don't advertise yourself. They're gonna ban you. Don't say, hey, I can do your models for you for this much. They're gonna ban you for that shit. But if you just show your works in a way that you just want to show them what you do because you think they'd like it, then people are gonna start to notice this, and eventually someone's gonna reach out to you because they want you to do something. All right. Nothing is worse than being alone. You see, this is one other thing that people are afraid of. Being alone. being alone. See, if you envision a certain life for yourself, which is different from what everybody else is doing, you're gonna have to do things very differently than other people. For example, most people are just working dead end jobs. Most people are not fit. Most people are not really ambitious individuals. They're not really going anywhere in their life. So you can't relate to these people if you want to level up, if you want to go higher than this level. And a lot of times, if you want to improve yourself, the price of that is going to be you're going to lose all your friends. Because on this journey, you're going to lose most of the people that you thought were your friends. When they see you improving yourself, all of a sudden they get jealous. All of a sudden they don't want to hang out with you. You got nothing to talk about anymore. And that's part of the price. If you can't do this, you're never going to make it. If you can't be alone, you're never going to make it. That means you don't believe in yourself enough. But if you do stay in the game long enough, and if you do manage to make some serious progress by yourself, in any area of life, in your business, on your fitness journey, on your whatever it is that you're doing, eventually you're going to run into other people. They're rare, but they're out there. You're going to run into other people who are on the same path, who are also doing really well, and they're going to start to appreciate you. All right, you're going to start to be able to make friends with these people. For example, I had a guy who went with my gym, and I told this story before, who I went to the gym with in Budapest. And I do powerlifting, so I lift heavy ass weights, and he does powerlifting. He lifts heavy ass weight. Nobody else in that gym was lifting heavy ass weights and into straight up powerlifting, except me and this guy. So that's how we started chatting. Because I don't know, I'm on the bench. Hey, you want to work in with me? I saw him looking for the bench. I started chatting with him about benching. He was a cool guy, so we started talking about lifting our friends around, just powerlifting, right? And I started my fitness journey pretty much by myself. I mean, I started with some friends in high school, but they all dropped out. They went in for a couple of years and then they fell off. They didn't want to do it anymore. I'm the only one who stayed in the game. Nobody went to the gym with me. I was alone the whole time. I was going by myself after school in the fucking evenings when it was raining, when it was snowing. I didn't give a fuck. I went to the gym by myself. Fuck it. What am I gonna do? I wanna lift weights. I wanna get into good shape. So that's what I did. And you get to level now that I can lift heavy ass weights, now that I got my fitness on point, now I can talk to other people who are in the same world. And a lot of times, people who are into fitness, they're into other things as well. For example, this guy, I found out one day when I was chatting with him that he's a professional 3D artist. And there you go, just like that, you got a great connection. What's your highest lifting? My bench press is 125 kilos. My squat is, I'm going to be testing something out tonight. I'm hitting the gym because I'm on the part of my program now where I can try to max out. My deadlift is probably 205, 210. My squat's probably 170, I would say. 1 rep max. Kilos. To everyone distracted by their phone, I recommend turning on grayscale. Yeah, well, that's a little trick for not doing what you're really supposed to do, which is just put your fucking phone down and get to work. You gotta have something to do. If you don't have nothing to do, you're always gonna wind up on your phone because your brain is wired to chase stimulus, right? Your brain wants to be stimulated. You're biologically programmed this way. So if you just sit there and you got nothing to do, you don't know what the fuck you're gonna do, you're gonna end up on your phone, you're gonna end up on YouTube watching some bullshit, you're gonna end up doing something stupid, okay? But if you find something to do, for example, if you decide that you're gonna go down the path of creating a business for yourself and to become a professional 3D artist, you lay down a game plan, you have to write this shit down. Write it down, guys. It's that. Take a pen and paper, write it down, write down your goals. What do you want to do? For example, you're a 3D artist, okay? You want to get yourself on social media. You want to go to social media and you want to get yourself, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000 followers this year, for example. Okay, how do you do it? All right, what do other people do? Study it. What do you have to do? You have to post all the time. Instead of hanging out with people to go smoke weed, all right, join our fucking Blender school, and we're gonna teach you all this stuff. And we're gonna teach you how to set yourself up, and we're gonna keep you on track. You're gonna have everything that you gotta know. Invest in yourself, and don't just do dumb shit. And to get yourself something to do. If you force yourself to do something, if you give yourself a plan, if you hold yourself accountable, there's no way that you're gonna be able to just look at your phone. Because if you're doing something, why would you look at your phone? You're already distracted by something else. You take your phone, you toss the fucker away, put them in the other room, and just focus on what you gotta do. Sit down at the computer with a game plan. Don't just sit down at the computer because, I'm going to do something tonight, and then you sit down at the computer and then you just end up on fucking YouTube. What you have to do is you decide what is it that you're going to do tonight. For example, you're going to make this model, or you're going to make this little piece of content. You're going to work on your portfolio. You're going to redesign your Instagram profile. You're going to redesign your description. You're going to create a nice picture for yourself. You're going to make a LinkedIn account. You got to write this shit down so when you come home, you got something to do. And you don't just end up with, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I don't know what to do. Fuck it. We're going to go on YouTube and maybe hope that I get some good ideas. You're not going to get good ideas. This thing is designed to keep you in the loop. Yeah, Mr. Web Business Tips and Tricks. Yeah, we're just yapping right now. So this channel is not for you, my friend. The last time I did a heaviest test, hit 90 kilos bench press. That's pretty fucking good. And that was while being hyped up by a college friend. Been a long time since I did heavyweight like that. I usually work at home with around 30. Well, get yourself a good program. Get yourself a better program. Learn about how to bench press more, how to increase your bench press, how to increase your strength at the gym. Watch some tutorials. They're going to give you everything you got to know. How many times you usually go to the gym in a week? 3 to 4 times usually. Alright, guys. Hold on a second. Let me see if we got any questions from Instagram that we can talk about. Nothing good. We already covered it. Somebody asked me, where would humanity be today if the Library of Alexandria hasn't been burned down? Nobody knows what the hell was in that library. It would probably be pretty far. Have you guys seen what's happening with the pyramids? But alright, enough about that bullshit. No more modeling today, because I gotta do some other stuff. I gotta hit the gym. So guys, if you want to get in touch with me, if you need some help, if you want to learn Blender, if you want to become a professional 3D artist, we got a Blender school, okay, full Blender course. We got lessons, everything that the same shit that's in the ebook. If you like the ebook, you're gonna love the fucking course because everything is explained with videos. Plus we got exercises. Plus we got business lessons for your portfolio. We got lessons on how to price your work, how to get clients, how to network, how to set up your social media, how to grow your social, everything from the ground up. If you want to be a professional, that's what we talk about inside the Digitally Enhanced Club. And also check out my ebook if you just want to learn a little bit more about Blender. If you guys want to get in touch with me personally about something, if you want to get a one-on-one consultation with me, I got a link for that in the description. You can book a call with me to talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about, whether it's your 3D modeling skills, whether it's your relationship problems, whether it's your fitness problems, whether it's your mental health issues, whether you can't figure out how to stay focused, whether you can't figure out how to make more friends or how to network correctly. Anything that you want to talk to me about, you can book a call with me. There's a link for that in the description. So thank you guys for tuning in today. It was a real fucking pleasure.